Hello, hello. Sorry about that. Quick technical difficulties. Something spits out to the browsers, but it's fine now. So, hope you're all having a nice Friday evening, night, whatever it is in your time zone. Of that. Ready and prepped for the weekend and all of that. For anybody new here, hi. I'm Adrian Solf. I also go by Card. I'm a Faerie casino owner. I usually, cover indies around the weekends. Sorry, just have something. One sec. That's it. That should fix it. Now, as I said, I usually, covering indies usually around the weekend. For the duration of the indie, I also have them featured on the channel because indies are great. They try new things, innovate, try new ideas, take risks. So, and some stuff, usually sticks, and you can also see it later on in some of the bigger studios. And for anybody interested in whatever indie I'm covering, you can also, aside from checking the details panel and whatever, and the page on my and the links on my VOD after they're later on uploaded, you can also use the chat command indie. That gives you quick info of my stream schedule for the indies, what exactly indie I'm covering it, and a link to most of the popular kind of store pages from which you can acquire it. So yeah, you can check it out. Aside from covering indies, I also go through the history of games, try to see their evolution, how they improved, and usually around some of the titles have been more influential. Currently going through the entire Doom series, getting close to finishing the master levels, and then getting back to Doom 64. And from that time I also have some chill streams, do some RPG stuff, things like that, because I'm a fan of RPGs. Speaking of which, aside from that, I also do discussions on TTRPGs, as we're doing right now. We're continuing the playtest material discussion for Daggerheart, currently going into the heritages system. I'm also probably gonna check the additional player tools, and if we still have some extra time, I'm also gonna look into the kind of equipment chapter, because I've looked at the heritage stuff slightly a bit before, and there is not a lot to cover. They don't have a ton there, so I think I'm gonna go through them pretty fast. So in that case, I'm just gonna I have the equipment as a backup. And also, aside from that, as you can see, before we continue with all that, I also want to give a quick shout out for one extra follow that happened off stream. As you can see it above, Crossing Sticks, thank you so much for the follow. Also known as Karon, he's also an up-and-coming VTuber. Nothing yet on his end, I think. No, currently not yet streaming. Don't know exactly when he's about to debut, but something that I can tell is you'll probably see him around with some other familiar faces, including myself, soon-ish. Either way, that's not something that I can offer details about, neither I nor him. So yeah, do keep an eye out, because you might see him around here from time to time, or at the very least around doing some stuff together. And speaking of that, as you can see, speaking of the followers and all that, as you can see around on the graphic next to me, I also have currently my stream goal is to reach to become affiliate approved. Currently I've already reached the 35 mark, which I've uploaded a VTuber bio on my social, which I'm gonna talk quickly about it, even right now on stream. As I mentioned, after I post it, I'm also gonna have a quick discussion, so I'm gonna look into that beforehand. And aside from that, I'm also really close to getting the next one, which is the self-intro VTuber song video. I'm gonna do my own rendition of it. once I reach the 40 follower mark. So, you know, I'm one follow away and we can do once that is reached, I'm gonna start working on it. And then after that, I'm gonna do like a special like TTRPG stream. Currently my idea is maybe doing like a kind of quick character creation stream where I'll, you know, ask certain, you know, fellow streamers and all that to, you know, basically give me a quick bio concept, and I'll just create the characters, probably in D&D, because that's the system I'm most familiar with, so, you know, easier to cover. Okay. But yeah, that kind of is it. So, as I mentioned before, I'm jumping into Daggerheart. There are actually two things that I want to discuss. One, a not so fun thing that I've recently discovered. I've also been a bit vocal about it in my socials, but I kind of want to show it as well here. And maybe I'm gonna do something a bit more longer form. Maybe I'm gonna do like a special stream or some kind of other coverage later on. But I do want to have it like a quick mention. Let me just open up something. One sec. Let's see. Wasn't there like at this? Oh, right. I'm gonna. Interesting. The page is no longer on the official page on their official website. Interesting. But anyhow, I'm gonna do this one. So let me just jump into the game overlay. Yeah. As you can see, the Crew. For those of you who don't know, the Crew is a open world racing game released. Oh boy, a long time ago. I even forgot when exactly was it released. I think 2015, 16, somewhere around there. I'll have to probably double check. But anyways, but you know, that's not the important factor. It's a open world racing game released by Ubisoft some time ago, probably close to a decade. That has been around December announced that the servers for the first edition of the game, for the original game, because currently now there are like a few sequels to it. There's the Crew 2 and the, I think, Horror Sports, the Crew. I think that has been announced. This the first one has been the servers have been shut down. Like actually the game is no longer available and the servers will shut down. Meaning that, and this was like an open world racing game that required, you know, online connection to be able to, you know, play with other to kind of race with other players, do content together with other players, because it was kind of like a co-op game, which it also later on added some PvP elements. Anyhow, this is not necessarily the most important factor about it, like specifically the game. This is more about a kind of ever-growing issue within the industry, that more and more games are becoming online only, requiring obligatory requirements of, you know, internet and online access. If those two are not necessarily, if you don't have first and foremost, you know, if you don't have internet access, you cannot play the game. And secondly, being online only means that whenever a publisher for some reason, I don't know, shuts down or simply just decides to no longer cover shows, to no longer you know, put resources in you know, offering support for the game, they just simply shut it down. You can, and with no means of access, at the very least, with most of the current more modern titles. I'm not talking about some, you know, early 2000s or you know, or like late 90s games. No, I'm talking about like current mid 2010s to current, you know, to current day kind of style of games, especially the you know, games as a service live model, more specifically. And it's an ever-growing issue that I personally do not like. I hate the idea that you technically do not own the game, you technically don't have, you know, ever, you know, a finite, you know, indefinite access to the game. It's you're up for most of these games, your access is basically finite. and with no actual, you know, clear idea when exactly that end date is gonna be. So why exactly the crew is important for this for this discussion? Well, because compared to funnily enough, compared to maybe some other publisher or some other places, the crew is owned and published by Ubisoft, which is a publishing studio with their main office in France. And there's something you can do about it. More specifically, there's been a content creator that has discussed heavily on the topic, which I'm gonna actually put the page around here. I think it can be seen. Yes. Accursed Farms has done a video discussing about it. I'm also gonna link it in chat for anybody interested. Yeah, so Accursed video has done like a cover video discussing about this topic, but more importantly than that, he has opened a petition page of Stop Killing Games. Basically, he's pushing on a movement of kind of this multi-attack on this widespread issue with the video game industry, where, you know, everything is ever spanning in online medium with no true ownership and no true, more importantly, user support, or at the very least offline user access. And he currently has offered a few wide range of methods depending from where exactly you are as a resident. But most importantly is the France one, because apparently France has really strict laws when it comes to consumer laws, when it comes to service ownership and, you know, product ownership, not necessarily service ownership, because that's kind of the thing. Games are not necessarily classified as servers, they're still classified as a product. And he has a very in-depth, both the video and the website, talking about it. And I just wanted to kind of push on, just quickly mention about this movement also here on stream, because in my opinion this could be big, because all of these actions here are at a governmental level. They're not like some petition.org type things where, you know, people sign and show the support. No, they offer you guidelines in how exactly you can reach people at the government level, to the point where if enough people, you know, make complaint about it, the changes in laws will be pushed. Which, that's the important thing. Once we have laws that restrict big publishers from doing this again, from ever doing this, that's the important fact. Or at the very least, and also offer us built-in systems within the game that allow us to, after the games no longer are supported by the developers or publishers, that us, the users, can have access to the game in some offline format, or at the very least we can create our own servers and have like community built-in servers, which kind of pushes me into the idea that at some point maybe I'm also going to cover like because there are a few you know, server stuff here and there that I've seen that I've really enjoyed, like supported servers that bring back to life a lot of games that have been that are no longer accessible. So yeah, I really like his movement. Currently a few things are still in process of being available, specifically the government petitioning. Some of them still are kind of in review and have to go through the process of becoming available and be able for us to, join the petition and sign on the petition. So certain aspects are still in development, which means that this campaign has to be kind of kept consistently active and be pushed into our awareness a lot often, which I will also kind of cover, because from this, that's why I kind of talked about maybe I'm also going to do some better coverage of it at some point. It's just something I found out today in the moment. So yeah, but the thing is that the most important thing, like let's say for example, because I'm EU, the fact is that you go through this entire really clearly specified process and how exactly you can currently, which there are some methods from which you can already send in a complaint, but you know, the first step of it is you need to go through the official process, which is going to Ubisoft support, asking, you know, for a support ticket, and then based on the response you then move it further to a different official firm, to some other like official organization. As currently, which sometimes means that you're gonna have to wait for a bit longer, because depending on how you know, the load of, you know, support tickets currently Ubisoft is receiving, because this has already been ongoing for like 2 days. I've just recently found out about it. Either you're gonna quickly get a response, or if you don't get a response after 2 weeks, you can still send the automated ticket email that you received at the beginning, but only after 2 weeks, meaning that you have to keep track and keep in mind about this whole thing happening. It's not something that you can do today in the moment, and you can do everything right now. So yeah, at the moment, as I said, this is kind of the only thing. Also, I do suggest, because this guy does some amazing stuff, you should probably keep an eye on him. I'm gonna, as often as I can, I know I have like a small community and stuff like that, and currently not a lot of people are necessarily covering it, but I'm also gonna do my best on keeping myself updated to this situation, and you know, make my own effort of making it known, because this is from my perspective, this is really important. If certain laws and certain, you know, regulations are pushed, this will greatly improve for us as users, and you know, as simple consumers of enjoying our games for, who knows, even an indefinite amount of time. Because let's be honest, there are certain games, especially like classic older games, that even to this day you can access simply because they had built-in support systems to you know, third-party servers. So there was no need. Either you can create like a local server or some kind of form of third-party server, so there was no need for constant development support. So yeah, do check this out, please, if you really care about video games, if you really want to have in the future good products that can last for longer than 1 year, because there have been cases where certain games have been canned after 1 year with no reason to play them, or any, you know, especially after the live servers, like online multiplayer games. If somehow the devs decided that they no longer want to support it, you're no longer gonna have access to the game. So this is important. So yeah, now that with the kind of more serious, kind of gloomy talk, because as I said, I'm gonna cover it maybe a bit more in depth at another time. Let's also check this. As I mentioned, I had a quick for the first viewer tier of reaching 35 followers, I was going to release a Vtuber Bio. So I was like, no, I managed to finish it around middle of the week, and I think I released it yesterday, if I remember. Yeah, yesterday. So yeah, let's like slowly, slightly, you know, quickly go over it. Why not? And then see where we come from there. Let me close these tabs for the moment. So yeah. Also for I think the petition stuff and all of that, I think I'm gonna also put them in the VOD later on, in case people missed it and, you know, see me discussing about it and all of that. So yeah, as I mentioned. So I mean, I'm gonna quickly skim through it because I don't think there is a reason to like read everything. But anyways, yes, this is the Agent Solve. I also go by the nickname Card, which probably many of you could guess why. Age-wise, yes, I'm frankly, I lost count. I don't know. At this point, there's been many. I've been around for a long time, so I have no idea at this point. Yeah, I don't know. It's 3 digits. How many? For how long have I been 3 digits? I don't know. Yes, I know. On the highlights, yes, I'm short. That comment has been passed around here and there by other peeps, so I don't think that's news in any ways. Yes, I'm as I've probably mentioned occasionally on the other maybe socials and other discussions, I am a Strigoi, which is more of a kind of Eastern European vampire. There are specific things about it that are different maybe to other like vampire myths. As I said, if you just use the term bloodsucker as a definition for vampire, then I'm sorry, there's a lot of things that cover that description and in many mythologies and folk tales. So yeah, I wanted to be a bit more specific of who I am. And yes, for those who are interested, my birthday is on the 30th of November. That's kind of when I'll probably celebrate it in some kind of public manner. So who knows, maybe I'll do like a birthday stream, something like that, when that time kind of gets closer. I am bilingual. I know, Romanian is my native language, and English I've known it since I was, an infant. So those are. I don't want to expand on the languages. Maybe I'll learn like a third language. I've learned French in school, but it never stuck. It never stuck. Unfortunately, I can't say a word in French. So anyhow, and yes, as drops. Actually, I'm more of a. I know some magics here and there. So yeah, I'm a 10th rank Skullmancer. That's technically my degree. That's what I've learned and what I am capable of. I've also passionate, but because of my affinity towards playing cards in games and all of that, I do also have some game design knowledge and game design preparation. And yes, currently I am a casino manager. That's how you're seeing all of this within the confines of my gaming parlor. Yeah, bio-wise, I'm not gonna give you more details. I'm leaving it here for you to read. But yes, I've recently came back here, decided to, was able to get a few things of mine as I left, due to me going against an old deal that I made, and all of that. But hey, I realized that there are other ways to, get my my needs and cravings without necessarily just simply playing card games. Although I thought about it maybe after I finish the Doom coverage. Maybe I'm also gonna do some occasional like stream series where I go through some kind of card game or like some kind of game that utilizes card mechanics in some way. Because I've looked through my game library, and I have quite a few of them some that I know and I wanted to try, and some that I didn't even know they had like some kind of card mechanic built into it. So I'm probably gonna do that, like I don't know, do some kind of special stream. Because to be fair, ironically speaking, I'm not that good at card games. I mean, I know a few card games. Yes, I'm decent at poker. I am good at Uno if you really want to hate me for life or something like that. But that's kind of it. I haven't played a ton of card games, especially in the digital format. So yeah, I'm probably gonna check those out here and there. And there are some people who also do some other things. I'm not sure if we're gonna go into some card games that require a lot of investment, like some, I don't know, Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh or stuff like that. I played Hearthstone for the longest of time, but I can't go back there. And to be fair, the way that kind of game shifted, not necessarily my jam as it was back in the day when it first released. So yeah. And yeah, for like quick short details about me, I do here they are, I have my preferences. Of course, there's just a few details here and there, not all of it, because to be fair, I didn't want to crowd this page as already it has kind of a lot of info, and just wanted to showcase a few things here and there. So yeah, if you all enjoy this, yes, because especially like for example, like yeah, hobby wise, to be fair, like these are like my main three. Yes, I do enjoy like TTRPGs. I'm a game master, and discussing about that, there might be some things that I'm gonna do, maybe, who knows, or participate. That's all I can say for now. Nothing I can give in details. I occasionally, my free time and also when my finances allowed, I do get and build model kits. Mostly just build. Haven't gotten to the point of painting them. I just do some bare minimum panel lining, because I got one of those like panel line like markers, stuff like that, but that's kind of it. I don't really do more than that yet. I do want to get like a spray brush at some point and actually paint some of the models, either like one of my current models or new one. Who knows, maybe I'll just take some photos and show you like what exactly my current collection that is, because I have a few. Mostly up until now they're mostly Gundams. They're just Gundams. I have like, how many do I have? Like 2, 3, 4 of them so far. So yeah. And I do occasionally dabble in mixed drinks. I do like that. I am not, coincidentally and probably not surprising, I'm quite the sipper. I do enjoy, whenever I do anything, have a drink with me, be it alcoholic or not. That could also be my Balkan blood. Speaking about it, but yeah, on the game side, as I mentioned, if I were to really talk about everything, I would have probably had to just a list only with that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of shooters or RPGs. I also play MMOs. I've had like a long time playing MMOs. Nothing too bad. I'm mostly on the casual side, just never got too much into raiding and all that kind of stuff. Didn't have the time or to be or able to, you know, keep a consistent subscription. I also play MOBAs, just some of the more niche ones, or necessarily not as popular as the most obvious one being League of Legends. I've tried it here and there, but probably not sure if I will ever stick with it. I never stuck with it every time I tried it. My most played ones are Smite and Heroes of the Storm, rest in peace. For that one, although I've heard like suspicions and rumors that who knows, maybe something will resurface from that game. But there is something I would like to cover one day, because there is like a community movement of a game called the Resurgence of the Storm, which is a full-on built-in, basically, it's a StarCraft 2 mod that is literally an almost one-to-one replica of Heroes of the Storm within the StarCraft 2 engine, which surprised me the hell out of it. I mean, to be fair, most of the models and all that, you can basically they took it from the game. Certain things here they cannot necessarily replicate, from what I understand. Certain mechanics or functions can't be fully replicated in the StarCraft 2 system, so they either been, you know, replaced or not been present. Like certain characters have been heavily reworked because of that, and also in some ways they have been made more like current viable within like maybe more current metas. Currently it doesn't have like all of the hero characters within the Heroes of the Storm, all of that. They currently, it's more of a limited roster, but it's a limited and tight roster from what I've played of it. I've played a few matches from time to time, and it's really fun. I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Heroes of the Storm in general. So yeah, who knows? I'll probably cover it. Yeah. Aside from that, yes, I do play puzzle games from time to time. Not necessarily my main. Usually for like occasionally like chilling and casual stuff. So I might just cover it. To be fair, the indie that I'm covering right now, I will be covering technically. The first stream is gonna be on Sunday. Deliver Us from Mars. It's also a puzzle game, so that's probably gonna be the first time I'm gonna have something a bit more, you know, laid back, chill, that we can also have like a chats while I'm playing it, compared to the more, you know, action-driven game that was Solstice, which was, as you mentioned, which is a great segue into the next one, a hack and slash. I do like hack and slash action style games, those kind of stuff. So yeah. To be fair, on this end, there are many that I could talk about, like shooter wise. Like yeah, I play some of the more competitive ones. Like I played Valorant, Overwatch. I've of course some co-op stuff, Borderlands. I'm blanking out a lot recently. Oh yeah, I mentioned like Transformers. I think on some occasions I mentioned the Cybertron games, the Transformers War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. Those are like some favorite of mine and all of that. So yeah. Shows again, I didn't mention too many, and this is more in the kind of anime-esque. Technically, all of them are. Arcane, I'm not sure if Arcane is categorized as anime in style or aesthetic, but you know, it's animated. So yeah, I mostly mention like animated stuff. Yes, I'm a mecha nerd. I do enjoy some animes. I'm not in touch with the current anime seasons and all of that. It's been a long time since I've kept up with animes and all that kind of thing. Music-wise as well, just a quick smudge, because actually my music taste is quite I have kind of a variety of tastes of music. Usually I more of an enjoy when it comes to like either the rhythm or actually the lyrics, and to me that doesn't really matter, depending, that can go like across genres. If I've listened to things from different genres, from different things that I really enjoyed, so to me I'm not very, you know, genre focused. I usually, you know, hyperfixate on certain songs depending on my mood, or you know, if they're like something new that I really enjoy. Yeah, I have that kind of tendency. But aside from that, yeah. And also like quick, I don't know, I guess general like VTuber streamer related stuff. Yeah, for like an emoji, like, or like I think it's called like an Oshi mark. Yes, the spade is probably gonna be my go-to. So yeah, if in any ways you wanna represent that with me, the spade is gonna be the one. For art tags, Hadrian cards is gonna be my my usual tag. If anybody wants to, it's in no way obligated or mentioned. I just there if you ever want to use it. And of course for some of you all, because I know some of you might prefer to do the more spice variety ones, there is also the loot card that you can use for that, because some people might not necessarily want to see that type of art. So you know, if you ever do something more on the spicier end, just stick to this one and don't, just be sure that nobody else is bothered. And of course, if you make clips and stuff like that you post in other places that are not necessarily the Twitch clip system, you just use the Adrian clip so I can then check it out and easily find it. Yeah, I think that this is kind of overall like covers it. It's been fun to, you know, mess around, do all of this. It was really fun. Also, do want to mention this was like the background quickly. The background image that you can see here is not mine. It's taken from Okumono, which is also from where I have most of the graphic stuff on my stream that I'm using right now. So I have a link. It's already credited in my details page. So if you want to see, check it out as well, or you know, want to use it yourself, you can easily use it. So yeah, but you know, it's also credited on the social pages as well, in case people saw it there first and they want to know from where I got it. But yeah, I think this like overall covers it, so there's no need to continue. So yeah, now I think we are done with the side tangent discussions and all of that. So now we can jump back to Daggerheart. And as I mentioned, like first time, before we jump back into it, I'm just gonna do a quick refresher, which is gonna be us looking at the how to play Daggerheart video, just in case anybody just jumped in recently into this and you know they have no idea what exactly this game is about, so, or this system is about. So you know, we'll quickly look through this. If there's anything to make comment, I'll make a comment. I've already like discussed on this video in previous streams, so if there's anything new that I want to mention, or if any of you want to, you know, pop in and just have a comment here in the chat, we can also do that. So yeah, I'm just gonna start the video, and then you know, then we'll move on to the current topic discussions. 1 second, because I think there's no audio. Yeah, or there isn't. This one.
Inviting you here.
There we go. Yeah, for some reason my Opera browser kind of went a bit on the fritz right after I hit play stream, and all of a sudden some of the stuff in OBS was no longer like linked in correctly. So yeah, now it should work properly.
Hey everybody, my name is Matthew Mercer.
And I'm Spencer Stark.
And we are inviting you here to this video to learn how to play Daggerheart, a new RPG that is currently in development.
So before we get into the basics, we just want to remind all of you that this game is now currently in open beta. So things discussed in this video may change, shift, go away, be added to, and that's part of the process of making a game.
Indeed. To learn more and even join our open beta playtest, go check out daggerheart.com. So dive in, break the game, tell us what works, what doesn't work, what you love about it, what you hope to see added, and tell us all that through the official Daggerheart open beta surveys.
The more people who play the game, the better we can make it. So jump in and help us break this thing, because we are so excited to build this game with you and not just for you. So please play often and submit those surveys so we know what you like and what you don't.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so actually let's stop it here. So yeah, before jumping in, as mentioned here, yeah, do please play test the game if you have the opportunity, like to offer feedback and do all of that kind of stuff. Please do it. It's really helpful for developers in general, for like game designers. All of that information is crucial to make the game a lot better, and as they mentioned, they also want to make it in a way that it's enjoyable for the user, not necessarily just for their own vision. They want to kind of build this vision alongside. Yeah, the more playtests you have, the better it is, because believe me, internally, no matter how much playtests you have and how many people you have on QA and all of that, you're never gonna have as close as possible to true numbers or true feedback as it is to the actual player base and to the actual users. So yeah, do it. do send in servers, do send in feedback if you've played the game in any kind of capacity. All that information is crucial, because even if you feel like your information is not necessarily mundane or not necessarily as important, it still means something. It still has it still, you never know how helpful it could be for them. And at the end of the day, they are the designers. They make the calls if certain feedback is taken in consideration or not, because probably many of you already know, and probably already judge other developers in probably with other games that, hey, we sent this feedback and we know that this is quite a vocal thing that clearly you didn't listen. So even if you're afraid that maybe your suggestion is honestly no longer appropriate, or just simply not worthwhile, just think of it this way: it's not like you're gonna ever decide what they're gonna put in at the end of it, but all that info, it's still good to send it, because you never know. So yeah. Also, like a quick thing before I continue, I need to do a thing real quick, and I'll be right back. So just hold on for a second there. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry about that. Everything's good. So 1 second, let me just have my proper stuff on here. Right, good. So let's get back into the video and actually cover some stuff. Oop, go ahead.
So Daggerheart is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game that sort of blends the narrative and the crunchy together.
Yeah, I like that it helps facilitate gameplay that is both theater of mind, if that's your preference, but also easy enough to also play it more tactically and to use maps and minis like I love to do with our sessions.
The game doesn't really stop down when you're doing combat. You just kind of continue to play the way you do throughout the entire rest of the game. And so everything flows in and out of itself, so it allows you to really focus on the story that you all are telling. And
deeply customizable character creation and development process throughout the mechanics of the game.
It is a long-term campaign game, so it runs over the course of 10 levels, which gives you plenty of fodder to be able to play a year-long campaign with, if that is something that you want, but could also jump in and play a one-shot or a couple of sessions, and works just as well for that.
Yeah, one of the things you can really expect from Daggerheart is a game that gives you tools, if you want to use them, to rapidly create in-depth characters that have dynamic relationships with the other players and characters at the table, as well as an opportunity and tools for the GM and the players to build a world together. You can make and play or run a game as deep or as shallow or as simple or as robust as you want to. And the intent of Daggerheart is to give you all those tools at your disposal and teach you how to implement them in your games. You can kind of pick and choose what it is you enjoy about this, or run the full gamut and go all in. Now let's get into the basics of Daggerheart.
Okay, so yeah, overall, kind of what you expect. Again, as I mentioned, I haven't yet gotten a chance to play it. I'm really curious how exactly kind of the flow of combat with the rest of the game elements really goes, because probably similar to other TTRPGs, combat is the main pillar in this. Although I'm pretty sure this is not necessarily their first one. It's, I think, the one they kind of heavily focus on. It is kind of shown in how their systems are built. More in the idea that they wanted to kind of tell stories, create create unique stories, create memorable stories, and all that kind of thing. So yeah, storytelling is kind of their focus. So but I'm still curious how exactly they kind of push into some of the other elements and all of that. So yeah, and also, as I mentioned, they have a lot of tools to add additional characterization and additional elements to kind of build your characters and probably have them have more and more detailed. Not necessarily in a sense, more in a crunchy sense, more in the look, we have these tools that will help you to tell to tell more about your character and more about the relationship that you have with the world, with the other people in the party, and with maybe other characters within the world that are more DM focused. Yeah, I think this is kind of really interesting and has a ton of potential just simply from what has been discussed.
Duality dice are sort of the bread and butter for Daggerheart. They consist of 2 different colored 12-sided die, your hope die and your fear die. Now you choose which is which, and for us, we're using this brighter colored one as our hope die and this kind of darker red colored one as our fear die.
Anytime your GM asks you to make an action roll, you'll roll both your hope die and your fear die, and you add them together along with any relevant modifiers represented by little tokens like this.
You know, the tokens can also be coins or beads, or you can just do the math in your head, but it helps to have these little representations right there next to the dice you rolled to do the quick math.
Then you tell the GM your result, along with whether your hope die or your fear die rolled highest. For example, let's say Travis is playing Bertrand Bell and is making an agility roll. He has a +1 to his agility trait, and he ends up rolling a 9 on his hope die and a 4 on his fear die, plus the 1. He'd add all that together and then tell the GM that he got a 14 with hope.
Yeah, now if a 14 meets or beats the difficulty decided by the GM, he succeeds on his agility roll, and he also gains 1 hope for rolling with hope.
Every time your hope die is higher, you gain a hope, which is a liquid resource your character can spend to aid allies or activate special abilities.
Now, sometimes your character might have an experience that you could further modify an action roll in their favor. Like maybe your character has Haggler as an experience when trying to negotiate with a shopkeeper, or expert herbalist when looking for medicinal plants in the vicinity.
So you can spend a hope before the roll and describe how that experience helps you, and then add its value to your roll. You add it all up, and if it meets or beats the difficulty score, you succeed. But your hope and fear die influence what happens next.
Indeed, if you succeed with hope, you get what you want, and you gain 1 hope. You can spend that later on. But if you succeed and roll with fear, you get what you want, but it may come with a consequence or add a complication. Additionally, the GM takes a fear token, a liquid resource that the GM can use to affect the story both in and out of combat, but we'll cover that later.
If you fail with hope, you don't get what you want and will likely face consequences, but you still gain a hope. And if you fail with fear, you don't get what you want and you may suffer major consequences. Additionally, the GM takes a fear token.
Now lastly, if you roll doubles on the 2 dice, you get a critical success, which means you get exactly what you want, you gain a hope, you clear a stress, and possibly some other cool benefits alongside it. Well, now that we've explained the basics of the duality dice, let's lightly skim the character creation process.
Just quickly mention it. I find it really interesting. I mean, I think they mentioned it before. You know, the D12, it's a unrepresented die within the TTRPG systems. It's one of the more lessly utilized, even in like games like the D&D, and I think even Pathfinder. Aside from like a few weapons here and there, you don't really see it anywhere. Like I think it's the barbarians hit die, and certain class features upgrade to a level that they get to a D12, but usually that's a high character level, which kind of goes into what this kind of game is about, because one of the main issues with D&D campaigns that probably a lot of players know, that very rarely you are able to push into a level 20 campaign, like get to level 20. A lot of campaigns end around like up to like level 12, 15-ish, I mean that kind of range, because after that point, not only do the, you know, mechanically and, you know, difficulty wise and even player wise, it gets insane. It gets the power level, it's cranked up to 100 from that point on. There's also not a lot of content that covers it, even especially official one. Probably, so yeah, it's not the easiest approach. And from what I've seen, the Daggerheart is actually up until level 10. So I think they've kind of somewhat built in the game system with that idea that even long-term campaigns won't necessarily go to some extreme levels of power. So probably keep it concise, and even from their own experience, I think that currently, from what I know, aside from Vox Machina, none of their campaigns have ever reached too high of a level. Like I think even the Mighty 9 campaign ended like I think level 15, 17. So they didn't get to the point. I think they got like close to or already got 9th level spells. Just got 9th level spells, but that was it. They stopped there. So yeah, that's also a thing that happens. And I really liked kind of how it is built in, because, you know, the whole idea is, you know, rolling with fear and hope basically already kind of creates this kind of, at the very minimum, like 3 layers of success, 3 layers of results. Because, you know, you can succeed with hope, you can succeed with fear, fail with hope, fail with fear, and of course the special one, which is, you know, basically getting doubles and counting as a crit, which, you know, kind of akin to some certain you know, board games kind of effects. The one that I am most familiar with, and probably a lot of you know, it's the Monopoly one, you know, Usually that's kind of, I'm not sure if it's an extra rule or it's a main rule. I always forget. But you know, doubles on those dice always have some additional effect. So yeah, that's really cool, and I really like the kind of dynamic difficulty aspect of the game, and that's kind of how I call it, because it kind of feels like that, you know, where, you know, not only that, you know, when a player succeeds with hope and all of that, they gain additional like powers, but at the same time, you know, if they succeed with fear, even though it's a success, the DM has some additional tools that they can use. The GM, sorry, I still default to DM sometimes just because of my background with mostly playing D&D. I do want to, you know, kind of expand my knowledge and expand my experience to some other TRPG system, which there might be some stuff soon-ish. I'm not gonna say more than that. I've already hinted it a few times already. So yeah, who knows? We'll see that. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I really like kind of their dice system and all that. It's simple. I really like the token stuff like that, for like flavor character, to add flavor to the character. That's really cool. Like, you know, you can add, like, you know, especially if you play it physically, depending on what kind of character you play, those tokens can be literally anything depending on what style of character you have and what themes that character has. So yeah, let's jump to character creation.
For a deeper dive into character creation, check out our Daggerheart character creation video where I sit down with Travis Willingham and make Bertrand Bell, which is linked here.
But for the purposes of this video, we'll give you a brief overview. Our character classes are Bard, Druid, Guardian, Ranger, Rogue, Seraph, Sorcerer, Warrior, and Wizard.
Indeed.
Every class has one or more class features, which are spells and abilities that are unique to each class. Like the Rogue, for example, has a thing called Cloak, which allows them to move into a space where no enemies can see them and be effectively invisible as long as they don't move or attack.
Each class also consists of the meeting of 2 domains, which are like symbolic themes. Through these 2 domains, you pick and choose what abilities you want for your character by taking domain cards at character creation and every time you level up.
These domains are Arcana, the domain of innate or instinctual magic; Blade, the domain of weapon mastery; Bone, the domain of swiftness and tactical mastery; Codex, the domain of intensive magical study; Grace, the domain of charisma and enchantment; Midnight, the domain of shadow and secrecy; Sage, the domain of the natural world; Splendor, the domain of life and death; and Valor, the domain of protection.
So, for example, the Bard calls upon the charm and magnetism of the Grace domain, along with the lore and magic of the Codex domain. And if you want to cast a spell from a domain card you have, typically you'll have a spellcast roll. This works just like an action roll, but uses your spellcast trait that you can find on your subclass foundation card.
In Daggerheart, your base character traits are Agility, for things like sprinting, leaping, and maneuvering; Strength, for things like lifting, smashing, or grappling; Finesse, which is used for like hiding, tinkering, or fine motor control; Instinct, which is for like navigating, perceiving, and sensing; Presence, for charming, deceiving, and performing; and Knowledge, for analyzing, recalling, or comprehending. You begin with a standard array of traits, which you can increase as you level.
Now let's talk about hit points and stress.
Okay, yeah. I mean, class-wise, yes, it's pretty fantasy generic. Although, you know, there's some unique spins at certain aspects, you know, like the Seraph being clearly, obviously, the kind of the more divine aspect, but it feels kind of like a mixture between cleric and paladin. It's not necessarily both. It's not necessarily like divided between those. The one that, to be fair, recently I came to the realization that it's not present here, and kind of surprises me, the Warlock, because to be fair, the storytelling potential of the Warlock is immense, and for a game that is kind of focused on that and has it like as a main pillar, kind of surprises me how it isn't present here. I do wonder if they're ever gonna cover it in some kind of different method than the traditional kind of class system, because in the way kind of their multi-class system functions and all of that, it could shift in a different direction, because at the end of the day, Warlocks can be anything if you think about it. So why should they necessarily be restricted as an individual class? Why couldn't everybody be a Warlock? Just at a cost of, you know, of some kind of function of multiclassing or something like that. So I'm really curious if they're ever gonna explore that or try something like that, those kind of things. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Yes, the domain is quite thematically, as you've probably seen here. Oops. It's here. Is it here? Come on. There we go. As you can see, each class shares 2 domains, and if you look at it, Dave even mentioned that kind of if you were to arrange them in some kind of sequence, they kind of form a circle. When it comes to which domains they are connected with which. Yeah, that's kind of a thing, which is pretty cool. The other thing that I've noticed that I really like, because compared to maybe some other systems, they've kind of split what a lot of people would call dexterity into separate sets. They've agility is more on a macro scale, while finesse is more micro, more on the fine details, and some other things that which would probably push you to expect that now strength and finesse would be probably the weapon stab. But from what I've seen from the weapon as I've kind of had like a quick glance at the weapon tables and some other stuff, actually it's not necessarily restricted here. Like certain items might even have like attack rolls, action rolls using other skills. Like I've seen some with agility, I've seen some with presence, those kind of things. So yeah, that's actually, I like it that from the get-go they were like, you know what, we're not gonna just simply stick at the idea that they're just just strength, just somehow strength and dexterity are the only things that are about attacking. Also because it kind of simplified in some ways how weapons work and how they are defined, which kind of makes sense why maybe even you'd see something that you'd expect to be a spellcasting action roll to actually be a weapon roll. So yeah, I really like this kind of spread of stats and how they've kind of interpreted.
In Daggerheart, a character's overall health is represented by a number of hit points, which you'll find on your character sheet in the form of several blank boxes. When you're faced with incoming damage, you will fill in or mark a certain number of these hit points based on your character's damage thresholds. So if you take minor damage, you mark 1 hit point. For major damage, you mark 2 hit points. And for severe damage, you mark 3 hit points.
Whenever you take damage, you simply compare that damage amount to your character's damage thresholds and mark your hit points accordingly. For example, if a rogue at level 1 has 15 damage coming at them, that would be just over their severe damage threshold. So they would mark 3 hit points.
If you ever take damage below your minor damage threshold, you take a stress instead of damage. Now, stress is also a resource that your character can endure to carry out certain uncanny feats or class abilities. But you gotta be careful. If you should ever need to mark a stress, but you can't because they're all marked, you mark a hit point instead.
Evasion represents your ability to avoid being hit by an attack. So when the GM makes an attack roll against a player, they roll 1d20. They add any modifiers and see if the result meets or beats this number. If the attack hits a player, the player can choose to mark armor slots to reduce the incoming damage by their armor score.
For example, let's go back to our level 1 rogue that has 15 damage coming at them. If they have an armor score of 3, like if they have leather armor, they could choose to mark one of their armor slots and reduce that damage to 12, downgrading that severe damage into just major damage. This means they mark 2 hit points instead of 3.
They can always choose to mark more than 1 armor slot if they need to reduce the damage by more as well. And you can, of course, get those armor slots back, but you have to do it by repairing your armor during downtime. We'll cover that in just a little bit.
Now let's go ahead and talk about Game Master stuff.
Yeah, before jumping there, I really like the kind of the general like hit point, determining attacks and all that kind of system that they have. It's really fun. It's really interesting. It's not only that it simplifies because it kind of removes a lot of the number games. Like HP is just determined by this. You just have some quick reference marks to see how much HP you actually lose. Because by the end of the day, it's makes it a lot simpler than necessarily just having simply so just a hit, a bag of numbers that you have to slowly, hash down, and kind of plays into this idea that, to be fair, which now that I think about it, kind of fixes one of the issues that I've always encountered while GMing. I've always had players that for some reason they always do attacks, and the enemy character still remains at that 1 HP, at that 1 little hit point, and it's still able to attack, even though it's technically up until that point that the NPC has been ravaged by attacks, but still somehow holds on to dear life. So yeah, that's kind of a thing that I found kind of fixes it, because you know, just simply saying that damage removes something finite, because from what I know, the hit point system here, it's also applies to the enemy stat block, to the NPC stat block. So it basically you know, the same rules apply there. So in those cases are not necessarily numbers. And I actually seen some rulings here and there, some people, you know, and actually some GMs that talk more about this discussion where you don't really play by the numbers, you just play by amounts of attacks, how often, you know, some your party has hit the enemy, or you know, kind of go in that ballpark of what feels right when it comes to, you know, this you know, this fight has been you know, long enough, so you know you can just move on. Because yeah, sometimes it can be dragged on for way too long, and in some cases it can simply be because of this kind of numbers games. You know, I remove a few numbers there, a few numbers are added later, and so on and so forth. So kind of simplifies the back and forth and keeps it a lot more easier, and probably it moves a lot quicker. Also, I really like the armor source thing. Is not just simply the idea that, you know, just you have armor just so you can increase your hit threshold. You can also have it a bit more tactically, has a bit additional like tactical elements, similar also what they mentioned with the stress. That's also an additional like tactical element that can be utilized to, you know, not receive damage and all of that. But you know, it really depends. I'm really curious because I think it has been mentioned, I had this discussion, if the stress addition moves into hit points only if it applies to attacks, or also other features that utilize stress can also push into this, which would be interesting in my opinion, because it kind of goes into an interesting kind of risk reward kind of area where, you know, if you want to utilize certain abilities but your stress bar is full, it's completely used, you then just be like, okay, I'm just gonna utilize my own vitality to I'm gonna risk my own character's vitality in utilizing this ability that is crucial at this moment. I think that would make it would add some more interesting moments and interesting points of the decision. But you know, those are like some kind of finer details that have to be checked later on.
So, setting appropriate difficulty values for your players is a time-honored tradition for many game masters. And when it comes to Daggerheart, a general good rubric to follow when setting difficulty values is a range of 5 being very easy, like extremely easy, up to 15 being your standard average difficulty, all the way up to 30 and more being nearly impossible.
You should also be aware of the circumstances surrounding action rolls, because they may grant advantage or disadvantage. For example, maybe you're attempting to lift a broken carriage out of a muddy ditch in the pouring rain, and if that's the case, the GM may impose disadvantage on the strength roll to do that. This situational modifier is represented by including 1d6 with the action roll. With advantage, you add the sum of the d6 to the roll. If you have disadvantage, you subtract the value from the roll instead. Always remember that at any time, a player can give another player advantage on an action roll by spending 1 hope and describing how they're aiding their ally.
Now let's talk a little bit about how combat works.
Yeah, I mean, I think they kept it simple because I'm pretty sure like the Game Master stuff, it's a lot more vast. But yeah, this is kind of standard like within the TTRPG system, like, you know, at the very least the D20 system, you know, 5 being, you know, almost, you know, banal, and 30 being like almost nigh impossible to reach. And it kind of makes sense because the D12, the dual D12 dice roll system kind of gets you in the similar ballpark, because, you know, if you do the maths and all that, like max rolls, you get what, 24 if you really push it there, and that's also like a critical, so plus additional modifiers, it is within possibility to get to 30, but you know, you need to have some really high modifiers from different probably from different areas, so be able to reach the number 30. But you know, so just, you know, it makes sense that it kind of utilizes the same kind of thresholds as D&D. You know, the disadvantage and advantage aspects, you know, a lot more simplified. I find it really interesting that they use the D6 instead of just some kind of dice re-rolling. It's probably a lot more simple. It can be easily done in the moment, and kind of remove some of those issues that I've seen sometimes when it comes to stuff that imposes advantage or disadvantage. That it probably would, this method would remove that kind of asterisk mentioned of, oh yeah, you can only impose or advantage or disadvantage before the rolls are done. While in this case, you could still technically do it even after the rolls is done, because you never know, your dice could still have an impact. In this case, and I also really like that hope, the advantage disadvantage is built in within the hope system and all those kind of things, and not necessarily into the ridiculousness that is sometimes D&D when it comes with the flanking rules and all that kind of other stuff when it comes, or the help, and even simpler because you don't necessarily have to use the help action. I feel like you can probably just, I'm guessing, can utilize advantage with hope as kind of like a reactionary effect, not necessarily as some kind of thing that utilizes some form of action economy. I'm guessing. Again, that's something I'll have to see once I have an opportunity to play the game.
Combat in Daggerheart is designed to be a free-flowing narrative experience with minimal stop-downs and a multitude of possibilities for theater of the mind and map-based conflict.
When you want to make an attack, you'll first ask the GM if it's in range of your weapon. So melee range means that you're within touching distance of the target. Very close is anywhere from like 5 to 10 feet away, or the shortest length of a game card when measured on a map. Close is between 10 and 30 feet, or about the length of a standard pen or pencil. Far is between 30 and 100 feet, or the length of a standard piece of paper. And very far is between 100 and 300 feet, or anything beyond the length of a piece of paper that's within the scene.
If it is in range, make an action roll and add any relevant modifiers. If the roll meets or beats that creature's individual difficulty score, it hits. Now simply roll your damage dice and add their values together.
Creatures also have minor, major, and severe damage thresholds, just like player characters, and a variable amount of hit points and stress, but they don't have armor or evasion scores like player characters.
Now for you GMs out there, if you're rolling to see if a creature hits a player character, you simply roll a d20, add the relevant modifiers from that monster's sheet, and see if it hits that player's evasion score. If it hits, roll for damage, and the player determines if they'll spend armor slots to reduce it, or how many hit points they have to mark thereafter.
Now, if your players are entering into a combat that will last for more than 1 or 2 turns, your GM may place an action tracker on the table. When an action tracker is out, players add a token to it whenever they make an action roll. Players will continue to make action rolls in combat until they fail and/or roll with fear, which then allows the focus to shift to the GM to make what's called a GM move.
Now, a GM move is literally just the GM taking a turn. So after a player rolls with fear and/or fails an attack roll, the GM then has the opportunity to spend any number of action tokens from the tracker and activate that many enemy combatants. So all those turns the players took in succession now have turned into resources for me. After the GM turn is resolved, play then passes back to the players.
Anytime, GMs can also spend 2 action tokens to gain 1 fear token. Remember those? How every time your player characters roll with fear, the GM collects a fear token? Well, here's where they factor in. At any point during combat, a GM can spend 2 of the fear tokens accrued during a session to make a GM move without needing the players to roll a failure or with fear.
Additionally, GMs can spend fear tokens to activate special abilities of adversaries, or generate action tokens for themselves, or make particularly big and dramatic GM moves.
If things go really bad in or out of combat, character death in Daggerheart is a real possibility, but the system offers players 3 options to choose from when the character marks their final hit point.
The first option is called Blaze of Glory. This option lets your character, you guessed it, die in a glorious and heroic fashion, where they take one final action that will be an automatic critical success before
I like
passing
this system. It's really fun.
beyond.
Then there's the ever-popular Avoid Death and Face the Consequences, where your character drops unconscious and cannot take any actions until they get at least 1 hit point back. When this
that's a safe
happens,
option.
you roll your fear die, and if it's equal to or under your level, you gain a scar, which means you permanently cross out one of your hope slots.
And finally, there's Risk It All, our personal favorite, I believe, which leaves it all up to chance. You roll your duality dice. If your hope die is higher, you stay on your feet and clear an amount of hit points and/or stress equal to the value you roll on your hope die. But if your fear die is higher, you immediately cross through the veil of death. Now, if the duality dice are tied, which once again is a critical success in Daggerheart, you don't just stay on your feet, you also clear all of your hit points and stress, renewed and ready to go right back into it.
Now that we've covered all the stuff you can do in combat, let's touch on some of the stuff you can do during your downtime.
Okay, so as mentioned,
You take a short rest
I really like
beyond the
the
length.
you know, kind of makeshift aspect when it comes to this, kind of determining the ranges, which I really like. Although it's something that kind of pops into my mind right now. I really wonder how this is going to be adapted for like online games and virtual system VTTs kind of stuff, because this is very arbitrary. But I feel like probably there could be vaguely standardized in certain measures. Because to be fair, you know, touching range is being right next to it. Short side of a card, if you're probably gonna go with like a standard size, you know, card is probably already like a specific size. Standard pencil, again, it is like a specific distance. Same with the sheet of paper, which I'm guessing is more of a A4 size. Which is probably the one that makes most sense. And then, you know, beyond that, you know, it's beyond that, so it doesn't really matter. Which I really like. I like the even more kind of emphasize asymmetry between the players and the game master, as the game master utilizes a more simplified role system of just using d20s, as well as their blocks, the NPC block stats as well. They don't have access to all of the features. They have access to certain character features, just so, you know, they can play within the same rules when it comes to determining hits, but that's kind of it. And this one, which is more in play about the kind of that dynamic difficulty, you know, the more a character succeeds, that's the more, you know, they're gonna encounter attack or retaliation afterwards and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that's also really cool, really neat. I really like that kind of idea. And also kind of this part of it, which kind of goes into the idea that, you know, having action oriented characters, or more specifically NPCs, where, you know, they have like special abilities, special functions and features and all of that stuff, not just simply a bag of hit points that just does an attack and that's it. So yeah, having the game master the opportunity to kind of switch it up here and there, depending on what the players have done, what they got as results, and, you know, how successful they were. In both cases, the more success they have, probably the more chances you'll have to get it. Similar to, you know, equally when it comes to failures, because, you know, yes, they failed. Technically, they no longer attack you, so on your side, that means that also you have less enemies to attack with, but you gain a fear depending on the circumstance. So you might utilize that fear. Even if they succeed the attack, they still might gain a fear. So again, you have a pool of resources to go to retaliate back to. Yeah, I really like that. And
combat,
points and
yeah, this one, which is really fun because, again, it offers a lot of agency to the player depending on the certain circumstances. You can just simply, if you feel like it, and, you know, no longer, maybe you feel like this is a good point for that character to kind of end their story, or might have some kind of, it might create like an interesting, you know, experience within that moment. Be like, you know what, fine, let's just move along. This is it for my character. I'm gonna try the next one. I mean, also it gives you like an opportunity for, you know, in case you for some reason, hey, look, I'm no longer necessarily interested in him continuing with this character for outside, you know, narrative reasons, simply, you know, maybe got bored of the character and no longer find it fun. So this can also give you like a quick out from it, and just be like, you know what, F it, Blaze of Glory, I'm done. Avoid death, face consequences, you know, very in between safe option and the risk it all, which is kind of the chaotic option of basically gambling your your life away, and depending on your result, you might just have some insanity, some insane moments, especially with the effect of the critical success, where basically you're back up at full resources.
When you take a short rest in Daggerheart, you can spend about an hour doing 2 of the following options.
You can tend to your wounds or another player's wounds, clearing 1d4 hit points. You can blow off some steam and clear 1d4 of your stress. You can spend time mending your armor or another person's armor and clear 2 marked armor slots. Or you can simply spend the time preparing yourself for the path ahead and gain a hope.
If you're able to make camp and relax for a few hours, you can take a long rest and choose 2 of the following. Clear all marked hit points, clear all marked stress, fully mend your armor, clearing all marked armor slots, or do this on an ally. You can prepare and gain 1 hope, or you can choose to prepare with 1 or more members of your party and instead take 2 hope each. Lastly, you can work on a project. takes a substantial amount of time, like deciphering an ancient codex or crafting a new weapon, the GM will assign this project a countdown, and each time you work on this project, you tick down that countdown until the project is complete.
Now, when you're at level 5 or above, during a long or short rest, you can swap domain cards in your loadout with any domain cards in your vault. This is useful because you can only have 5 domain cards in your loadout at a time, but you really don't have to worry about that until higher levels anyway. I think that's it.
I think that's all.
I think that wraps up our
this
quick.
wraps it up. Yeah, I really like the
And relax for
the short system, short rest system. It keeps it simple. It also offers you choice. So basically, you don't have necessarily, you're never at 100%. That's what I found kind of really interesting. You always, depending on situations, if you've been in some really like maybe dungeon crawler type style of the sessions, you will probably never be at full resources by the end of the dungeon, or never have enough opportunities to get full resources. So yeah, this is kind of one of the things that will happen. While similar with the long rest, I also really appreciate that the long rest also offers you the option of, hey, you can also work on something and all that kind of thing. And also I feel like these things offer you opportunities to mix and match and add some twist to them, and how exactly you mend the armor slots, how exactly you clear the stress. You can add some interesting modifiers depending on your environment and where exactly your party is, and maybe even in those moments be like, you know what, because you are in this location that maybe doesn't offer you any kind of resources to mend armor and stuff like that. As a short rest, you can't really mend your armor, but if you were to spend the amount of time that would equal to a long rest, you could mend your armor to the level of a short rest, to the benefit, equally to a benefit, to the short rest benefit. So even then you can add some drawbacks depending on the environment, to add more survivability, add more like gritty elements. So yeah, that's kind of really cool. But anyhow, this kind of covers it overall, the video and stuff like that. To kind of bring everybody up to speed, 1 second, just grab a drink. That's it. So yeah, it's also, but yeah, as I said, I'm kind of doing this every time just kind of to offer like a refresher, and for anybody new that is jumping in, they can at the very least get an idea what this game is about. So then when you get into discussing more other aspects of it, they still have like a general idea of the entire system. And as I mentioned, we're gonna now jump into the latest material. Specifically now, you can get Daggerheart from 2 places. You can either get it from daggerheart.com, their website. I'm just also gonna link it here. Basically, you just log in, put it on your email, and you're gonna receive a download link, and this is gonna give you like the PDF resources, which are really well organized. They're split together and all of that. Like the character sheets are class specific, for example, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. But if you want something more compendium style, because from what I've seen, it's a bit more scattered around, you can also check Demiplane and look at the system there. I'm also gonna link it here. Why not? And you can have access here within to more of a kind of compendium style, chapter kind of organized system, as you can see. So yeah. But now, as I mentioned, for today, I'm just going to cover the heritage system, which heritage is split into 2 components, that being Ancestry, for those who don't know necessarily, are not necessarily familiar with the term. It can also be compared to the race terminology in other games and in D&D, but technically Ancestry has a bit more sense, and is because race is a bit more technically races should not necessarily be like dwarf, elf, something like that. Something like that. Race is a bit more defined in a different bracket, I guess. So yeah, Ancestry has a bit more logic, and probably also remove some negative connotations from their naming, so there's no like assumptions about it. And community is more about the aspect of where exactly you as a character have grown up, and what exactly kind of environment, what kind of community medium you've been, which that also is a big influence in what kind of lifestyle you had, basically. Did you have like more of a higher end, kind of royalty style, kind of royalty kind of lifestyle? Did you have more of a medium, lower class, all those kind of you're more, you know, undergrounds, you know, criminal organization, that kind of stuff. So, you know, those are kind of the main components. One of them is more ancestral, more kind of, you know, connected more culturally, while the other one is more community based, not necessarily culturally, more, you know, genetically, and one of them is more community based. So, you know, and also to make it for extremely clear, because I think probably many of you have not really haven't noticed, there's no like stat benefit, anything like that, like numbered stuff when it comes to these things. They offer you abilities and certain aspects of, you know, character. I think like each of the ancestries offers you one special ability, as well as the community offers you an additional community specific ability. So that's kind of the uniqueness out of about them. Aside from that, they don't necessarily have, I don't think they have anything more than that. So yeah, first we're gonna jump into the ancestries. So ancestries represent the lineage of a character that affects their physical appearance. That being said, any character might also possess characteristics that do not fall within what is standard or average within an ancestry. Each individual with an ancestry will also view the world from a different perspective. For example, one elf might believe they have quite large ears in relation to their siblings, but a Firbolg would find them proportionally small compared to their own. We hope this provides you with a window in the various physicalities of a creature that populate Daggerheart. As you continue to play and meet members of each ancestry, you will have the opportunity to learn about the nuances and unique qualities among them. You'll also notice that within the world of Daggerheart, term people is used to refer to all ancestries. They each possess unique characteristics and cultures, as well as personhoods. Each ancestry has an ancestry feature, a unique move or set of moves that are granted by their ancestry and can be utilized in play. Some are spells or abilities that can be activated during a session, while others are passive bonuses or unique downtime activities. If you'd like to make a character that combines more than one ancestry, see mixed ancestry at the end of this section. So yeah, it kind of simplifies it, like, hey, most of this is purely aesthetical, aside from the ancestry feature, which is more of an ability, spells like effect or special feature that is connected to the race. Everything is more about, you know, you having some kind of physical perspective, you know, physical and world perspective difference compared to the others, but nothing more than that. It's not necessarily about oh, I'm an elven, so that means that I'm proficient in X, Y, Z, and which makes me somehow comparatively better than this, but maybe worse than this race or something like that. No, it's more about, you know, you're from obviously a certain ancestry. Because of your ancestry, you might view the world and people around you differently. So that's kind of the thing that you should more focus about. And because you're part of that ancestry, you also gain a special benefit or a special function that is related to your ancestry. But that's kind of it. And I really like the idea that, you know, people refers to, it's a generic term that refers to every race, because, you know, I've seen even I kind of played around with this idea on how exactly to refer to certain people, certain members of certain races, you know, dwarven folk, elf folk, all those kind of things, and this kind of keeps it a lot more, you know, generally, you know, simplifies your vocabulary. So yeah, so let's jump into the first one, which I think this is the one that I've seen for a bit, and I thought it was really interesting. I really kind of like it. Clank. Clanks are sentient mechanical beings built from such material as metal, wood, stone, and clay to resemble humanoids, animals, or even inanimate objects like organic beings. Their bodies come in a wider range of sizes and may change and adapt based on time and need. Because of their custom construction, many clanks have highly specialized physical features. Examples include clawed hands for grasping, wheels for movement, or built-in weaponry. Many clanks are known to embrace an individual's desire for body modification, including those based in style or function. And members of other ancestries might turn to clank artisans to construct highly customized mobility aids and physical adornments. So yeah, I really like this. Can I open the image? The different tabs there, see it more. Ooh, yes. So yeah, this is, because from what I've seen, each there are more. Let me also open this one. Each race currently only has like this kind of series of concept art style of presentation, which is okay, because at the very least you have some visual representation of it, which is really cool. Yeah, I found this one is really nice. It kind of gives you, I think, like more of like a text flavor about it, like what exactly you should, how exactly you should approach this ancestry, how exactly, and give you kind of an idea on how they would behave, how they see the world around them, and all those kind of things. So yeah, this kind of idea that because they are like mechanical, you know, artificial in some aspects, artificial, have this kind of inorganic bodies, them being more focused on this idea that, hey, these bodies allow us to have easily modify each other and you know, to better suit our needs, or simple, emotional desires, or just nothing necessarily, just as mentioned here, it doesn't have to be necessarily function. It could also be style. It can also be something just purely because they want aesthetically to look in a certain way. So as you can see, we have something more like a more classical kind of poet, but you can see you have here like the kind of music box, wax roll, wax recorder. I don't know exactly the actual term. This one is really interesting, kind of like a jouster, but it's actually kind of a centaur looking, also semi-unicorn kind of humanoid. A very classical kind of knight one with a built-in weapon, which I really like this idea of having this kind of like built-in weaponries. This one more wizard-like. I really like the idea that the limbs are actually magical manifestations, not necessarily like their magic manifests, but more, I think more in the sense that probably their body is more of a kind of a shell, more of a containment, more for containment of their magical effects more than anything. Yeah, this kind of, I really like the chef, like literally having like a stove built into him, like, or like the miner one. Really like, this sounds really creepy. Like it's kind of like hag looking like robot. I really like that, because this opens you with a lot of customization, be like really creative, and you can really play into it, like how exactly you want to be represented and what exactly kind of concept you want. Because with this kind of race, you can also really play heavily into your class depending on it, because now you can think of your class, okay, this class has this kind of ability, so as form and function, how exactly would they be represented within this kind of clank, within this ancestry? Because they could be wildly different than what you'd expect a humanoid to wield this kind of abilities or magics. So yeah, something more like divine related. This is literally a keg with legs. I love it, and I think it's looks like it has like some kind of a mouth cannon thing, which is amazing. And very like semi-insectoid looking. Cause yeah, you really see like a mixture of, you know, also with kind of culturally mixtures of things and how exactly they could look, and all that. Also, obviously, you know, because all of them, from what I've seen, they're like heavily, you know, metal and mechanical looking, but you could also go more in the idea that they could be some kind of, you know, forest spirit, or some kind of like, you know, wooden construct, you know, created by nature, or some kind of, you know, other kind of otherworldly power, and not necessarily being, you know, made by some kind of a sentient creature. Yeah, this is kind of cool. I really like this idea, and you know, to be fair, it kind of was expected, considering that I'm guessing that in some aspects Daggerheart is also going to be a system from which, you know, Critical Role can transition into, or maybe in some aspects tell stories of Exandria within this system and not necessarily utilize D&D. So yeah, and seeing that, you know, already we've seen a few Warforged like construct player characters in some aspects or another, it'd be ridiculous not to have this race present, this ancestry, I'm sorry. Yeah, ancestry feature, purposeful design. Decide who you were created by and for what purpose. When you generate your experience at character creation, choose one that reflects this purpose and add a +1 to it. So for those who don't know, experience is kind of going to the skill area of D&D. You don't have skills, you have experiences, which is a bit more generic. You don't have like a specific arbitrary list given by the system. It's up to you to determine what your experiences are, and you know, the idea is to be descriptive enough, but you can also leave it to some elements of creativity, just so you know, you don't necessarily just say but not necessarily heavily specific. You just have to find this kind of really in between, this kind of in between, which could be like a profession, could be some kind of a knowledge area, or you can even have like some kind of phrases or terminology that can be utilized to represent certain actions. So yeah, that's also like a method. Let's see the image here. You know, can have the appearance of any ancestry and made from a variety of metal, is most common, but wood, clay, porcelain, and stone, etc. So yeah, this kind of idea that this being, you know, this also having the idea that they could, clanks could be creations of other ancestries, would make sense that they could resemble the ancestry that resemble their creator's ancestry. So yeah, that makes sense. Or clank has some power source. These can take different shapes, forms for the intended use in particular constructions. So yeah, some of them could be within the head, within the chest, within whatever location you feel like. Power sources can be stored anywhere within the body's chassis, but common locations are in the head or chest, of course. Additional power sources variations, yeah, more like a crystal, not necessarily like a ball, this kind of like disc. A variety of attachments are available, ranging from tools, appendages for utility, to weapons and protective gears for combat and adventures. Yeah, that does make sense. Clanks have self-repair systems to partially mend a severely damaged body and attach appendages. However, this is limited its capability and speed of repair. This system is mostly used in emergency, as is performed by a clank subconsciously. Appendages or attachments lost or completely broken cannot be repaired or remade through a clank self-repair. So yeah, if you somehow fully lose your limb or fully lose a big part of your body, technically cannot self-repair, but to a certain extent, probably to just, you know, also kind of inward or mechanically say that, hey, just because you're an inorganic creature, that doesn't mean that you don't necessarily follow the same rules when it comes to healing and harming. So yeah, also I really like this kind of like diagram, this kind of idea that there's also like an inner chassis, kind of very kind of Gundam-esque idea, that kind of, because yeah, the outer chassis, which is more like protective armor and all that, while the inner chassis is more like skeletal-like, or maybe just purely the mechanical functions, the inner workings, kind of the skeleton. Yeah, pretty cool. Really like this. Yeah, really fun. Really like it. Would probably be one of my first options when it comes to like making if I were to make like a character. So yeah. And as you can see, like overall, they don't have like a lot of info when it comes to each ancestry. I mean, again, gameplay wise, aside from the ancestry feature, they don't have anything pure. The rest of it is purely flavor. It's up to you. So I don't think there is any need for the system or the compendium or the core book to offer you more details. They could probably add a bit more, probably when it's fully released. They're gonna offer like a lot more information in setting, like similar to other to other rule books. You know, like D&D has like an entire section, like entire paragraphs that talks about like a race within and how that race is within a setting. They probably can offer you that, and maybe some additional details and how exactly you can expect this race to be on a normally. But of course, as mentioned before, you don't necessarily have to follow the normal the average, the usual kind of parameters or the usual descriptions. You know, they could be the one that stands outside from the crowd. They don't, you know, just like these example, elves are tall. You know, maybe you have an elf, maybe your character is an elf, which within their ancestry and within their community is seen as abnormally short, for example. So yeah, just because it's, but you know, those are like purely visual and purely for, you know, some kind of storytelling and narrative reasons, not for any mechanical purpose. So there shouldn't be too much coverage in this area. So yeah, which is also why the reason I mentioned that depending on how quickly I go through these, I might just jump into some other stuff, because this one is similar to the communities, because community as well, they just mentioned an additional feature. They don't have a lot of stuff to mention. There's not a lot of reason to stay too much on these as a discussion. They're just purely to see what they're about and have an idea what exactly the system offers. So yeah. Daemon. Or Demon? I'm not sure exactly. I'm guessing Demon. Those of Demon ancestry are the humanoid descendants of the fallen gods who possess sharp canines, pointed ears, and horns that come in variety of styles. While some demon horns resemble that of a goat or ram, others bear the shape of piercing spikes. There is no standard number of horns for demons, though 2 or 4 are quite common, and some will have crowns of many horns or only one. They may also grow asymmetrically, forming unique shapes that demons are known to enhance while carving and ornamentations. Their skin, hair, and horns come in an assortment of stark and vibrant colors such as rosy scarlet, deep purple, and pitch black. On average, demons range in height from 5 feet to 7 feet. They are known to have long fingers and pointed nails. So yeah, the kind of tiefling ancestry style kind of style. So yeah, as you can see, overall humanoid-esque in shape, but with different kind of arrangement of horns and other kind of more demonic. Because you can also see like even the tails look a bit differently. Really like this kind of like 3-horn crown look. Really cool. Yeah, also kind of how you can embrace it a bit more culturally, you know, something more like Oni-esque looking, you know, and how exactly they could be represented if there were like multiple, you have different numbers of them, you know, 1 horn more like unicorn-esque, 2 horn, 3 horns, 4 horn. Ooh, this reminds me of something. I don't know exactly what, but it reminds me of something. 5 horns, so yeah, it kind of becomes more and more of a crown. Fuse horn, that's actually kind of cool, kind of like a Halo-esque, which kind of could in some way, even storytelling wise, it could kind of show you this idea that they are kind of this kind of fallen divinity, or like fallen like divine ancestry within them, so their horns can still form this kind of horn shape, this kind of Halo-like look. You know, asymmetrical horns, you know, although this kind of cool, like very one that kind of goes right around the middle, while the other one is kind of goes around normally. And of course, obviously, ornaments and all this kind of thing, jewelry, what do you expect to see? You know, any number of horns are possible, but the number of horns a demon grows is often genetic, so not necessarily aesthetical. It's more purely, not necessarily customized. You know, demon horns can have any shape, and it's very common for individuals to decorate or modify them. Horns continue to grow, so many will mold their shapes or style the horns as they would hair. So yeah, so technically you can also decide in how exactly your horns kind of shape out and grow and all of that, and not just purely leaving them to just grow how they would probably genetically would. Some demons have tails while others do not. Demon tails are not long. Demon tails are long and thin and smooth that sometimes are hooked or forked. Demons will often decorate their tails with bands and other accessories. So yeah, kind of another thing. Like, this is, to be fair, because again, they don't necessarily have any kind of mechanical purpose. They can just be whatever you prefer them to be, to some extent. Yeah, but yeah, really cool. Well, again, a lot of room to customize and a lot of room to make the ancestry unique to you, and to kind of tell kind of the story you want to tell, and tell kind of about your character, and kind of, you know, have it, you know, have a story also be represented visually, not necessarily just through words. Okay, ancestry. Okay, so they have like 2 of them. So they have two things. Fearless. When you roll with fear, you may choose to mark a stress instead of the GM gaining fear. Oh, this is kind of nasty. Be like, you know what? Nah, you ain't getting this token. It's mine. I keep it. Dread Visage, you have advantage on rolls to intimidate other non-demon creatures. Yeah, oh, actually, look, we have like some concept art that's actually colored. Really nice. Kind of see the multicolored looking, and actually even the horns are a bit, you know, different color. They're not necessarily some kind of grayish or, you know, earthyish tones. That's kind of cool. Yeah, this one is really interesting. I really like that they also kind of built in this idea that in some cases you might be able to even deny the some of the general features from being triggered. Okay. Drakona, which yes, the kind of draconic ancestry. Drakona resembles wingless dragons in humanoid form and possess a powerful elemental breath. All Drakona have thick scales that provide excellent natural armor against both the forces of nature and attacks. They are large in size, ranging from 5 feet to 7 feet on average, with equally large and naturally sharp teeth. Drakona teeth are perpetually regrown, and members of this ancestry are never in danger of permanently losing an incisor. I think I'm pronouncing that right, I'm not fully sure. Unlike their dragon ancestors, Drakona do not possess wings and cannot fly without magical aid. Members of this ancestry each possess elemental breath, the type of which is passed down through the generations of each Drakona family. Yeah, from this point on it jumps into the ancestry feature, so let's check it out. Yes, very obviously the kind of dragonborn draconic. I'm really curious if they have like a, in world building wise, how exactly this ancestry came to be. But then yes, again, you know, very draconic, very reptile looking, but again with a ton of variety, you know. Although from what I've seen, kind of the longer neck is kind of a common feature, of course, long necks, tails, all of that kind of stuff. Although I'm really curious if they're gonna play into the tailless Drakona, because Draconas would be their version of the Dragonborn, and in Exandria there has been this kind of social issue where, you know, tailless Dragonborn are seen like a lower, are kind of like this kind of lower society. They've been kind of marginalized society. So I'm really curious if they kind of play into it. Oh, okay, so they also have more like in the humanoid body, yes, but also want to mention that again, this aesthetics kind of cover different cultures. As you can see, this more like more oriental, more eastern style of draconic, and while some might be a bit more closer to the western interpretation. So yeah, that's actually really cool. Also an interesting gap kind of that you can see with them, that is kind of, you know, in between the daemons and the Drakona, because they also can have like horn protrusion with tails. But I think like the obvious mention was that the demon tails are actually thinner, while the Drakona tails are, as we can see so far, are on the more, you know, robust kind of proportions. So yeah. much like every fingerprint is different, every individual horn are now unique to that individual. Broken horns may grow back slow, but the speed of regrowth slows with age. So technically, if you can also play into that idea that, you know, kind of a grizzled veteran that, you know, lost a horn, but it can't really grow back as much as it used to. Maybe it's stuck to kind of this kind of stump, like a fully healed stump. More humanoid is still have horns and sharp teeth, usually with other sharp features. Hello, Ghost. Yes, we are currently checking the ancestries for Daggerheart. We just jumped into Drakona, and currently, as you can see, most of them have kind of, they have like a quick flavor text, what their feature is, what their mechanic is in game, and then a list of concept art, which kind of makes sense because probably a lot of the stuff is not yet finished. So, but at the very least, having something representative is really cool. And in some cases, as I'm doing right now, I'm actually also checking the concept art notes, because that's also kind of awesome. Also, just because you're here, let's jump in. Yeah. God damn it, the copy paste all is messed up. Done. Do check Ghost. She also does some TTRPG stuff. She does some puzzle games in the weekends. You might see some more TTRPG stuff related with her soon-ish. That's all I'm gonna say. That's not for me to offer details. She's gonna tell you in due time. But stuff is happening. that I can confirm myself, because I also am doing some stuff there as well.
Okay, last question. Close
Anyhow.
your eyes.
Although probably not in this kind of in this side of the fantastical, let's say. Although I'm still debating if I should probably run the adventure, like the level 1 adventure of this system once I'm done covering it. I'm still considering it. I'll think about it. I'm waiting until we have a definite time for the first stream. Yeah, we have to kind of figure that out. I mean, yeah, as I mentioned, I kind of confirmed with my kind of timetable that I'm overall fine as long as, you know, within a decent schedule. But yeah, as usually, you know, scheduling, especially with stuff that is TTRPG related, is difficult. So yeah, let's jump back up because now I'm kind of going in a column kind of thing. Okay, so always has horns and scales, can have sharp teeth and long tongues. Some can grow hair on head. Okay, weird. Head, neck, and back. Okay, so they also have some. I'm going to be fair because you kind of have this kind of in-between scale that can also be kind of more humanoid looking or more draconic looking. That's interesting. Scaled arms, clawed fingers, and thick tails that act as claws. Oh, thick nails. What thick tails? Why I have tails on my mind? Anyways. Claws grow into fingertips, if more draconic-like. A low risk of losing claw. Took me a while to figure what I was about to say. Low risk of loving claw. Anyhow, more human hands have thick sturdy nails on top of fingers. Lost nails grow back quickly. So yeah, I can really flavor it how you want to, you know, how is it called? I already lost the name. The Drakona race is, because I'm thinking of Dragonborne or Draconic. You know, tails can be long, short, or no tail. So yes, they also mentioned the idea that there can be no tail. A few can regrow lost tails, but growth is normally slow. Tails can be thick or thin. They can be smooth, spiked, forked, hairy, or scaled. So yeah, basically, paint your draconic creature however you want. It's at the end of the day, it's your character. Do whatever you want. Because as you just jumped here, yeah, as you can see, they also kind of do. From what I've seen with each of the concept art, they also do attempts of embracing different cultures, and it's kind of how they are represented. You know, as you can see here, this one is very obviously a lot more Eastern or, you know, kind of cultures. Style of dragon, more, you know, with kind of a long protruding neck. So I kind of really like that, especially with the because yeah, we also seen here we have this kind of Oni looking kind of demon, or here like the clankers, which are like kind of construct race ancestry, sorry, where depending how they are, you know, they could be a bit more, you know, magically imbued, where, you know, certain limbs manifest as there are like magical manifestations, or they literally, this is just a walking oven, or even the better, a walking keg. This one's my favorite. I love him. Look at this little guy. I think he has a gun in his mouth, but I don't know, I'm not gonna judge. But yeah, really cool how they kind of represent all of this ancestries. They're doing a really nice job of kind of getting an idea of it. Yeah. Ancestry feature. Elemental breath. At the character creation, choose one of the following elements to describe your elemental breath: fire, ice, lightning, poison. Okay. Poison, acid. Spend a hope and to make an instinct roll using your breath against an enemy or group of enemies within close range. Deal D8 magic damage to all enemies you succeed against. Yeah, quite similar to the Dragonborne of D&D. You have some kind of elemental breath weapon. I mean, here it's kind of determined by your ancestry. It's not, there's no currently like a ton of like world building explanation of these ancestries, so we're not necessarily sure how exactly they came to be. At the very least with these ones, they really didn't mention too much, like similar to like the D&D Dragonborne, although there is some lore in there how exactly they came to be. So yeah, let's see the additional concept art. Oh, I see they're a bit more hunched kind of Draconis. Ooh, I really like this one. Really neat. Kind of wyvern-esque. Yeah. From the chunkiest boys to the little guys. Look at him. Look at this little dude. Yeah. Variety is the spice of life at the end of the day. Yeah. Although deal D8 magic to all enemies you succeed against. Oh, within close range. Ah, interesting. The close range, I think, was the pencil, right? Was it a pencil? Let me check the video. 'Cause... Oh, yeah, the pencil. Close range, not very close. That's quite a while, quite a ways of a distance. And D8. I wonder if they're gonna have like a scaling damage thing, because, you know, dealing D8 magic damage to all enemies. This kind of goes into the, I'm guessing, minor damage threshold, or maybe a bit, or maybe, you know, major, depending on the race, on the NPC you're facing. But anyhow, that's not here nor there. That's more of a playtesting thing for me to kind of figure out. But yeah, Dwarf, something more classical, let's say. Even though these up until now, these have been like kind of D&D-esque or some like more fantasy-esque that you'd expect to see. The Clanker, depending on certain settings, it might not necessarily be as prominent, but the other two you'd probably expect in certain settings. Yeah. Dwarves. Dwarves are most easily recognized as short humanoids with square features, dense musculature, and thick hair. Their average height ranges from 4 feet to 5 feet and a half, and they are often quite broad in proportions to their stature due to a higher amount of keratin in their skin and nails. Both are very resilient, and dwarves are known to decorate their bodies with a number of tattoos, unique piercings, and embedded gemstones. Equally, their hair grows thick, primarily on their head, but across other portions of their bodies as well. And dwarves of all genders are known to wear facial hair, which may be styled in many intricate patterns. So yeah, female dwarf beards are a thing, and I'm all about it. Yeah, let's go with this. So dwarves have naturally thick and tough skin, hair, nails, and their thick skin offers extra protection from hazard and creatures, which makes sense because depending on how exactly flavored the dwarf, they could be some more, you know, mountain dwelling kind of, you know, in the mines, in these kind of rough environments where they kind of require this kind of protection. This thick skin also allows dwarves to decorate their bodies in a variety of ways, from tattoos to unique piercings and embedding gemstones into the skin. This is mostly for cultural and aesthetic purposes. Their thick nails likely help early dwarves to dig by hands before the use of other tools. I'm guessing that's what's written there. The hair also tends to be very thick and grows easily on their bodies. Both male and female will grow out their thick hair for styling, especially their facial hair, as you can see. I really like the kind of idea of embedded gemstone. That's actually a really cool kind of extra thing that I don't think a ton of systems really play with this idea that, you know, consider that this kind of very underground, you know, or to some extent they have this kind of connection with the earth you'd explore, and the, you know, natural resources of the underground would make sense as a culture. Dwarves have large, strong hands and fingers. Their nails are thick and tough, and they can be easily trimmed, so they tend to be grown down and shaped, and they often look faceted because of this. Oh, I see. So they have this kind of more protruding shape, kind of shapes and all that. So they're also kind of an aesthetical thing, which is really cool. Dwarves of all genders grow thick hair. They often style their hair in elaborate ways, especially their beard and mustaches. Their hair can grow very long if not regularly trimmed, so hair care is often important in dwarf communities. So yeah, really like cool aesthetically, like, you know, intertwined, trimmed, and all of this kind of stuff. It's really cool. And of course, like, we can also see like the variety of kind of what you'd expect a dwarf to be, which is really nice. Yeah, classic what you kind of expect, but there are some additional things here and there, like flavor wise and aesthetic wise, that I really like, that kind of added on that I don't think a lot of people explore or, you know, have made evident. Ancestry feature: increased fortitude. when you should take physical damage, you may spend free hope to only take half of the damage instead. Wow, that's actually really good. Really good ability. You really have to stockpile on the hope, but damn, that's actually a good ability considering that aside from that, only armor points can reduce your damage taken, and even that is a limited resource. This can be actually an ever using one, so basically your armor points could be just a thing that you utilize only in moments of need, of actual need, where you might not necessarily have hope. But you know, to be fair, because they are like free hope and this is like an ever-flowing kind of resource, you might not necessarily spend it as much as you'd expect. But still, interestingly, that this kind of this ancestry is very kind of built in to be the kind of tank ancestry. Like these are the you know, the resilient boys and gals and anything in between and non-binary or whatever they prefer. So again, another classic, elves. Elves are typically tall humanoids with pointed ears and acutely attuned senses. Their ears vary in size and pointed shapes, and as elves age, the tips will begin to droop at the tip. Okay, the snoot droops. Sorry, just had to say that, it was in my mind, I had to blurt it out. While elves come in a wide range of body types, and they're all fairly tall, with the shortest among them standing about 5 feet 8 and the tallest coming closer to 6 feet and a half. Some elves possess what is known as a mystic form, which occurs when an individual has dedicated themselves to a portion of the natural world so deeply that their physical form has changed. These characteristics can include celestial freckles, the presence of leaves, vines, or flowers in their skin or hair, and more. Sometimes these traits are inherited from an elf's parents, but if the individual chooses to move their focus away from that sphere of influence, portions of their appearance will adjust over time. Actually really cool. Kind of built in this idea that, you know, elves can also be this kind of more fae-ish, kind of nature-connected race, not just this full-on magical kind of ancestry. But yeah, really nice varieties. While most elves' appearances doesn't change much once reaching maturity, there are a few considered to be mystic form. These elves tend to have a strong connection to something in their environment or dedicated themselves to protecting or understanding a particular interest that it causes their bodies to take on appearance related to their interest. Mystical forms elves can be shaped by anything but tend to be altered by nature, so leaves, flowers, vines, and even stars and celestial bodies. Which again, really cool that you can actually have this kind of specialized in-tune kind of aspect of the elves. Of course, you can go with the classical, more naturally connected, similar to kind of the Eladrin, which are kind of seasonal elves, which you have basically a sub, because this was from D&D, from the one I know at the very least. You basically have a sub race of Eldrin for each season. You have like a fall, a spring, a winter, and a summer Eldrin, and each of them with like different abilities depending on the season. Elven ears can be long or short, they can be thin or wide, rounder or sharp, but they always come to a point. As an elf ages, their ears will continue to change, and even if the rest of their appearance doesn't, a young child's ear point upwards and are stiff, while an elder's tend to droop at their tip. Elves commonly decorate their ears in all manner of piercings and jewelries. Of course, what's kind of expected. As you can see here, like the variety of when it comes to ages, you know, a bit more younger, somewhat more adult. Is this Orin? This looks like Orin. And of course, a lot more aged looking. Yeah, really cool, really neat. Ooh, I just noticed. Look, it is kind of more like kind of stump prosthetic looking accoutrements for the kind of the mystic formed. Really cool. Really like. Okay, ancestry feature. Celestial trance. During a long rest, as one of your actions, you may choose to drop into a celestial trance. When you do, roll a number of d8 equal to the stress you have marked and clear all stress. If any of these dice have matching value, also clear all hit points. Oh, that's actually really cool. So technically you could negate one of the rest choices, which is, you know, clear some hit points, which is really neat. Instead of just so you can just go into celestial trance and you basically go by the dice and hopefully, you know, you get something out of it. And technically, you know, the more stress you have, the more likely it is for you to actually have matching dice. So that even kind of pushes you to kind of risk and use your stress to the fullest. Yeah, really cool. Faerie. Those of Faerie ancestry are winged humanoids with insect-like features. Fairies have close ties with the natural world and frequently possess characteristics that allow them to blend in with various plants. Based on their individual heritage, Faerie's features might more closely resemble either humanoids or bugs. They might possess additional arms, compound eyes, lantern organs, chitinous exoskeletons, or stingers. The average height of a fairy ranges from about 2 feet to 5 feet, but some fairies grow up to 7 feet tall. I mean, at this point, they're basically any height. All fairies possess membranous wings and go through a unique process of metamorphosis throughout their relatively short lifespan of usually no more than 40 years. Ooh. You won't see a fairy for too long. Oh, damn, I really like it, really. With a more like beetle, you know, bee-looking looking fairy to, you know, even more like closely humanoid. That's actually really cool. Not a ton of notes on these ones, but the variety is nice. It's also, and I also really like the aspect that I've seen so far with the ancestry stuff, that they're very like, don't limit yourself to a certain aesthetic or certain look. Here are some information on how exactly you could represent your ancestry, but from this point on, just go wild, represent them however you want. Have, you know, be as closely as possible to humanoid, or, you know, get as monstrous as you want. It's up to you. It's your choice. You shouldn't feel you know, you shouldn't feel any reason to, you know, not go there if you want to. Ancestry feature: wings. Mark stress to take flight until you next roll with fear. While flying, your evasion score increases by +2. Interesting. Until your next roll. That's actually really cool. Luckbender. Once per session, after you or an ally in close range makes an action roll, you can mark a stress to allow a reroll of the duality dice. If you do, take the new result. So they also, are these like technically the halflings in a way? Really not like flying halflings. Oh, here we have like an image with some info. That's actually really cool. Given their perceived magical nature, some believe a fairy's capability of prolonged flight. Fairies, regardless of size and appearance, is assisted by that innate magic. So it could also be magical in nature, and the flight not necessarily just actually on a functional level. Because I think it's has been this. I think there's like some scientific studies that mention that yes, on an aerodynamic level, insect wings work because at that size and scale, you know, certain laws of physics don't apply the same way, don't necessarily go in a kind of react the same way compared to larger scales like an aeroplane. Yeah, antennae are common on fairy, but not at all. Not all. The more human-like a fairy, the less likely they will grow antenna. These antennas are useful in sensing some magical effects. Cool. Some also in lore stuff. Fairy appearance can vary widely between an insect and human, so much that fairy may share very little physical likeness to other family, but besides their parents or siblings. More insectoid bodies still share human physical characteristics such as bipedal movement or human-like hand or fingers. Fairy always have natural wings, while they usually appear insectoid. Interwings? What is this? While also, injured wings can naturally heal over time, unlike normal insect wings. Okay. One wing. So yeah, also like various representations how exactly the wings could look. Faerie usually have 2 sets of wings, but some have 1 set, and rarely 3 set. Occasionally, a few fairies can grow up to 4 set of wings, either as a rare family trait or magical mutation on aspects that is unique to each individual is their wing pattern. While some relatives share the shapes and number of wings, the details on the wings are unique to each fairy. Some fairies believe these wing details foretell the individual's future if if read by a soothsayer. Actually, nice. Some extra like world building elements about it. I really like it. But yeah, really cool to see. Because I think like fairies is one of the ones that you don't necessarily see as often, or at the very least one of the more traditional ancestries that you expect to see in a fantasy setting. Even though they, at the very least on the NPC side, they are quite expected. Faun. And those Faun of Faun ancestry resemble goats in humanoid forms with curving horns, square pupils, and cloven hooves. Like any ancestry, their appearances vary widely, but most Fauns have a goat-like lower body with dense fur and cloven hooves, while their torso and hands are usually humanoid. Faun faces range from humanoid to goat-like depending on their heritage, and they can have varying ear shapes, horn shapes, and fur thickness. Faun horns range from short with minimal curvature to much larger and curling. The average faun height ranges from 4 feet to 6.5 feet, which can change dramatically based on the way they stand. The majority of fauns have proportionally long limbs, no matter their individual size or shape. Yeah, kind of like goat satyr. I kind of wanted to say kind of racial. Of course, probably a bit more detached from the Fae aspects. But yeah, as you can see, child adult. Interesting how it goes even more kind of goat, kind of the some goat features become even more kind of prominent. Fauns will decorate their horns, ears, and hair in a variety of ways. They tend to enjoy keeping sentimental items on display somewhere on their body. When fauns are born, they are quick to start walking and running. Because of this, fauns will learn to be independent as children and be very active. As fauns grow older, they can begin to look more goat-like. Yes, even before reading it, it was kind of apparent. Fauns have faces that tend to look very human, but some can have more like goat-like features. Their faces are fuzzy with goat ears, and their pupils are rectangular. Yeah, you can see like variety of kind of proportions and sizes, and kind of how exactly they represent themselves aesthetically. It's really cool. Ancestry feature, headbutt. Oh yes, give the game master one fear to headbutt an enemy you move into melee with. The target immediately takes d8 direct physical damage and can't be targeted again by this attack during the fight. Oh, so you can literally just, with no roll requirements, you just headbutt a dude. Amazing, I love it. And as you can see, some like varied like horn shape looks, like they don't necessarily are like full on goat like them. There's like corkscrew. The horns are amazing. Damn, they do a lot of damage. Sorry about that, just a burp. Okay, Firbolg. Firbolg resemble cows in humanoid form, typically recognized by their broad nose and long ears. Members of this ancestry have more humanoid bodies, which may be more or less covered in hair. Some have facial features that are a blend of humanoid and cow, but others, often referred to as minotaurs, have heads that resemble specific cattle. No matter their other characteristics, Firbolgs may possess horns, though may not. So many do not members of this ancestry come in a range of colors from earth tones to pastel hues like pink and blue. So they're tall and muscular creatures with height ranging from around 5 feet to 7 feet and possess remarkable strength for their size. Oh, so we jump in straight in the feature. Actually, let me look at the image before I read the feature. So yeah, more of the... I found it interesting that they also kind of put Minotaur in kind of the same racial description. So be like, you know, if you want to be a Minotaur and be kind of in some aspect, you know, identified as a Minotaur, then go ahead, just take the Firbolg race and Ancestry and just reflavor it. Firbolgs have human proportions and physiques except in their facial features, which appear bovine-like. Young Firbolgs tend to have around soft features, but as they age, they take on more square-like features. Most adults stand a few heads taller than average humans, but children do tend to be the size of an average human child. Firbolg bodies are covered in short fur. Their fur can have colorings of brown, black, gray, and various pastels. As you can see, we can have something a bit more pink-ish. Some Firbolgs have horns, though most do not. So yeah, we can also go a bit more to kind of bovine style thing. Ancestry feature, natural calm. When should you mark a stress, roll 1d6. On a 6, you take no stress. Amazing. You can also, really cool feature actually, to kind of have more opportunities to utilize stress, and in some cases not even kind of basically forgo it. Fungril. Now we're jumping into something I think more unique to this system. Up until now, there have been like ancestries and certain aspects, you know, be it reflavored in some ways or another to other fantasy settings. I don't think I've seen this ancestry in other settings, or at the very least I haven't necessarily heard of. Fungrils resemble a mushroom in humanoid form, bearing the features of the fungus from which they descend. Because of this, the appearance can vary widely. They may be anywhere from 2 feet to 7 feet tall, either more humanoid or more fungus in appearance. They come in an assortment of colors, from earth tones to bright reds, yellow, purples, and blues. Their physical forms are non-standardized, resulting in an incredible variety of bodies, faces, and lips. Though all Fungrils can speak verbally, the vast difference in appearance of Fungrils means those of this ancestry do not have a standard of visual. Non-verbal means of communication may choose to utilize a mycelial array of communication. So yay! Mushroom people, I love it. Look at these boys and girls and gals and non-binary pals. Look at them. Amazing. Oh my god, there's some amazing designs in here. I really like this, like the mushroom cap, this kind of like straw hat looking visuals. Man. Oh, I really like this. This is actually really cool. Damn, rain never bothers them, I guess. They always have like a they always have like a hood or an umbrella on top of their head. Damn, actually really cool. Really like this. A lot more earthly, as you can see. A lot of stuff like more connected to nature. Really cool. I really like it. What was their feature? Always connected. To speak with other Fungril across distance. To access their hive mind of information, make an instinct roll. At character creation, describe what ritual you must perform to tap into this connection. Oh my god, you have fungus internet. You can just zoom your parents from across the world and ask for advice. Amazing. I love this. Really cool. Really cool. This is actually... We should see more of this, honestly. The options customization with this kind of thing is insane. Yeah. Galapa. Those of Galapa ancestry resemble anthropomorphic turtles. Oh, yes, because I've heard of it. With a large domed shell into which the head and the limbs can retract inside for defense. On average, they range from 4 feet to 6 feet in height, and an individual's overall shape is dictated by the type of turtle of their heritage. Galapa come in a variety of earth tones, most of them shades of green and brown. They may possess several colorful and unique patterns, especially on their shell. No matter their other physicality, all Galapa can draw in their head, arms, and legs to protect them within their shell. Using it as a shield when defensive measures are needed. The majority of this ancestry moves fairly slow. Oh my god, I've seen some designs in here. Oh yes, look at this boy. Come on, please tell me. Ah man. No, or Galapas will carve or shape their shells with designs important to an individual or their community culture. They recall it's this kind of like more Tiki-esque designs. Shells can also be reinforced completely or partially with armor of other materials or other materials. Other objects may be attached to the shell with the right tool. So technically this race can also benefit from armor in that sense. Shells that are damaged can be repaired. Otherwise it takes at least 10 years for a heavily damaged shell to fully recover. Damn. Hands and arms tend to be thick with sharp fingers. But yeah, come on, why there's no like, why there's no like bagpipe built-in turtle dude? That I wanted to see that. Wait, there's already art of that character, but still, it would been amazing to see him here represented. Ancestry, shell of protection. The shell on your back always protects you. Add your proficiency to your armor score. Amazing. Bonus armor, really good. Reduce more damage, higher chance of getting of reducing something like a major or a severe to a lower threshold. So yeah. Again, expected to see Galapa as also, you know, within the critical Exandria setting. You know, there are a lot of turtle folk. And again, because speaking of ancestries that we've seen in Exandria, giants are very tall humanoids with long arms, broad statured, and 1 to 3 eyes. Okay, so they go into the kind of all kind of cultural folks when it comes to giants. The smallest adults among this ancestry are about 6.5 feet, with the largest coming around 8.5 feet. In combination with their size, giants are most easily recognized by their long arms that grant them added reach. They tend toward dense musculature, no matter their gender or body type. While the majority among this ancestry have 2 eyes, it's not uncommon for giants to have 1 or 3 eyes. This trait is passed from one or both parents, and those with a single eye are often referred as Cyclops. And let's see, is it just one image before I go and read the features? Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of the variety of it all. As you can see, overall longer arms compared to the rest of their bodies. Giants have to have long arms, wide chests, and long necks. Although somewhat rare, there are giants with 1 eye and some with 3 eyes. This is generally a genetic trait passed on by one or both parents. So yeah, but overall really cool because it kind of plays into different cultures of giant folk depending on where they are. So yeah, having 1 or multiple eyes, it's expected. Ancestry feature: endurance, gain additional hit points slot, an additional hit point slot at character creation. Really nice, so a lot more sturdy. Reach: any melee weapon you wield has its range increased to very close. Really nice. You can really hit someone if you wanna. Yay, the gremlin folk. Goblin. Those of goblin ancestry are small humanoids, typically recognized by their large eyes and massive membranous ears. Because of these physical features, they tend to have keen hearing and eyesight that allows them to perceive details at a greater distance, in darkness or in less optimal environments. Their skin and eye colors are incredibly varied, with no one hue, either vibrant or subdued, more dominant than another. Their height range from 3 feet to 4 feet, and each of their ears is about the size of the individual's head. Goblins are known to use ear positions to very specific effects within their non-verbal communication. So yeah, they can also kind of animal-esque, I guess you could call it, like how they position the ear to kind of to show emotions, to emphasize certain emotions. So let's see. Oh, I really like kind of the glossy kind of black pitch eyes. That's really cool. Goblins are very large. Goblins' ears are goblin. Goblin ears are very large, and they're roughly the size of their head. Large eyes, short nose, sharp teeth, large ears. Because of their size, the ears are flexible, and goblins often emote using them. Certain goblin words are more clearly expressed with their ears. The expressive nature of goblins' ears means many goblins will decorate their ears with many accessories and modifications. Goblin eyes are also large and expressive. Many don't have visible sclera, while others do. Goblins that live deep underground may have milky white eyes. So yeah, also kind of very kind of bat-like in certain aspects, kind of appearance, which is really cool. Ancestry feature. Then danger sense. Once per short rest, you may mark a stress point to make the game master re-roll an attack roll. If it still hits you, reduce the incoming value by your proficiency. I kind of like this. Even when the feature does not succeed, you still get a benefit out of it. Like, yes, it doesn't succeed, but you still, you know, it's kind of like a half success in a way. So yeah, actually, I kind of like this. I think like this kind of thing should be more, especially for stuff like that. It's heavily built into something like a Ancestry. It's not something that can easily swap out or remove. Like if it's like a feature that you're gonna use more consistently, having this kind of thing, it's really cool. Yeah. Now to the legally distinct hobbits. Because let's be honest, that's what they are. Halflings. Halflings are typically smaller humanoids with large hairy feet and prominent, I mean, as I said, legally distinct hobbits, and prominent round ears. On average, halflings are 3 feet to 4 feet in height, with ear, noses, and feet that are larger in proportions to the rest of their features. Halflings are naturally attuned to the magnetic fields of the mortal realm, granting them a strong internal compass. They also possess strong sense of hearing, smell, and may be more able to detect those who are familiar to them by the sounds of their movements. I just saw the name of the trait and I already know what to expect. I haven't read it yet, but I just saw it in passing as I was scrolling to the image. But yeah, you just see some halfling variety, which is really nice, really cool. Really short folk. The average halfling is roughly half the height of an average human, giving them the name they are known by. Halfling feet are commonly known to be large, and some halflings have proportional feet to their ears. Okay, and have proportional feet. Yeah, their ears and nose tend to be large for their head, larger for their head. Halfling often have a youthful appearance even after reaching adulthood. Only when a halfling is reaching their last decade or so of their natural life do they show obvious signs of aging. Some ears can be longer and point upwards. These ears are very good at hearing noises, even far away. Yeah, really neat. Yeah, little lucky. At the beginning of each session, give everyone in your party a hope. You may also reroll a 1 on your hope die. If you do, take the new result instead. So yes, the dreaded halfling luck never escapes the GM's to the GM's turmoils. But I really like the idea that not only the race, the one that has the ancestry itself benefits, but also the rest of the party gains a benefit. Kind of plays into that idea that, you know, halflings are the very kind of jovial ancestry that kind of keeps everyone together and kind of, you know, brightens the atmosphere. Now, to the regular people, to our good old never-failing humans. Those of human ancestry are most easily recognized by their dexterous hands, rounded ears, and bodies built for endurance. Their average height ranges from just under 5 feet to about 6.5 feet. They have a wide variety in their physical build, with some being quite muscular, others lithe, and everything in between. Humans are incredibly physically adaptable and can adjust to harsh climates with relative ease. I mean, they are humans, but it's nice to see. I mean, yeah, quite more of a diverse representation in culture. Ooh, I really like oh, nice, like really cool prosthetic stuff. I really like this representation where it's kind of like gun spell slinging wizards. I mean, crossbow slinging, I guess, not necessarily gun slinging, but still, really like the visuals on it. It kind of makes sense that there's not necessarily a lot of it, because at the end of the day, it's a human. Aside from, you know, the existing cultural representation, that's not. I don't think there's other variety you should, you know, mention about. You should be kind of visualize. Perseverance. When you fail a roll that utilizes one of your experiences, you may spend a hope to re-roll. You must take the new result. So yeah, it's really cool. So even when you fail a skill check, you might still like an experience, which is kind of a skill check or ability check, I guess, depending on the system or whatever you're using. This can offer you like a second chance, but you know, the idea that you still have to utilize the newest roll, so technically there's still a chance for you to fail. But yeah, overall, the usual normie human. But hey, I have nothing against the human. To be fair, this is a really good feature. I'm not, you know, playing bad about it. I'm not gonna be like in D&D where, you know, the normal standard core rulebook human is kind of bland as features and abilities compared to be fair, what has become like the peak being the variant human, which was, you know, mechanically speaking, for the longest of time the best choice when it came to min-maxing a character. But then, you know, they brought custom lineage, which was like basically a slightly light variant human, but with the option of being any ancestry or race that you want, because that was purely aesthetical. So yeah, Katari. Those of Katari ancestry are feline humanoids with soft fur and high triangular ears. So hey, if you want to be a cat girl or cat boy, this is your race. They also have vertically slit pupils, small pointed canine teeth, and long whiskers perception and I'm guessing for perception and navigation. Their ears can swivel nearly 180 degrees to detect sound, adding to their heightened senses. Depending on their lineage, Katari may more closely resemble their cat ancestors or humans, with an amount of hair and facial structures to match. Equally, they may, so basically you can be at any point in the furry scale. You can be almost none by just being some kind of cat girl or cat boy, or just full on just go all the way in and be just commit to the furry. Equally, they may or may not have tears in their skin and fur, possess a wide range of hues with solid colors, calico tones, tabby patterns, and an array of spots and stripes. Their height ranges widely from 3 feet to 6.5 feet. So they can be actually really short. To be fair, I mean, would this basically be like the lion, Maine Coon kind of cat, while the 3 feet is kind of, I forgot what was the name of the cat. The cat with the short stubby legs. That's honestly like ridiculous. I feel like you gotta be like one of the most really cruel to have that kind of cat in your house, because really that cat can't jump anywhere. It's just gonna be stuck on the ground if you place it there. You literally have to build in ramps for that cat. Although it is kind of endearing, I'm not gonna lie. I do like it. I do like that kind of cat. That cat. Okay, so before I read the ancestry, oh, just one image again. Some cat boys and gals. So yeah, we can see a bit more of the humanoid-esque looking cat to the more full-on feline, like, yeah, built in. Oh, look, there's a furry scale. Cat-like, human-like. So yeah, Ancestry, feline instincts. On agility rolls, you may mark a stress to reroll your hope die. If you do, take the new result instead. Interesting that it's specifically the hope die, meaning that technically you can not only have it, not only just improve your success, but also increase your chances of actually gaining hope instead of gaining fear with your rolls, which is really cool. Okay, another more expected fantasy ancestry. Orcs. Orcs are most easily recognized as humanoids with square features and boar-like tusks. These tusks protrude from their lower jaws, and the size can vary between individuals. While they extend from their mouths, tusks are not used for consuming food, and thus many orcs choose to decorate them with significant ornamentations. Orcs have mid-sized pointed ears, and their skin is typically colored in green, blue, pink, and gray tones. Orcs tend towards a muscular stature, no matter their individual size or build, and their average height range from 5 feet to 6 feet and a half. And here are our orcish buddies. Yeah, from more scrawny to the more well-built, but overall kind of like square body shapes. So yeah, really nice. I mean, it makes sense that, you know, for the more expected kind of ancestries that fantasy ancestries, you don't necessarily, they haven't really went full on with the concept. They just gave us a few examples here and there, because they already probably expect a lot of oh, actually, I'm wrong. There is a bit of variety here. Let's see. A wide range of natural hair growth, from no hair to thick hair covering most of their bodies. Interesting. An orc tusk tends to be fairly prominent and can grow in a variety of ways depending on the individual and parentage. These tusks can hold some cultural significance for some groups, and some may be decorated or modified for ceremonies or casual wear. Small tusks are common with orcs of mixed families and young individuals. Long tusks can grow to impressive lengths, especially with some elderly. Occasionally, long tusks are reduced for safety and inconvenience. Yeah, it probably is a pain to eat or drink with long tusks. Two sets of tusks can be grown, however, the second set tends to be smaller. A third set can grow, but its occurrence is extremely rare. Or skin tones can range from shades between greens, blues, pinks, and grays. Fair enough. Downward tusks are rare since they grow from the upper jaw instead of just the bottom jaw. These may be shortened for safety. Very rarely, two sets of tusks can grow with one grown on each of the top and bottom jaw. Decorated tusks and modified tusks are quite common. Special jewelry and piercings tend to be worn, but purposeful carvings and shapings are sometimes performed. So yeah, there's a bit of variety in here as well, and when it comes to, especially with the tusks, because that's kind of the main kind of physical trait that they have. Ancestry feature: sturdy. When you should mark an armor slot, roll a d6. On a 5 or higher, you don't mark the armor slot, but still reduce the incoming damage by your armor score. Interesting. So technically, you're taking the brunt of the hit, not necessarily the armor itself. That's kind of cool, making them kind of, in that, as in the name, it's kind of sturdy folk. And the one that I've heard a lot about, and a lot of people really love it, Ribbet. Those of which are just frog people, look at them. Those of Ribbet ancestry resemble anthropomorphic frogs with protruding eyes and webbed hands and feet. They have smooth, though sometimes warty and moist skin. Eyes positioned on either side of the top of their head. I hate that I had to say moist. And while some ribbets have hind legs more than twice the length of their torso, others have very small limbs, no matter their size, which range from about 3 feet to 4 feet and a half, so they're really short. Ribbets primarily move by hopping. All ribbets have hands and feet that are webbed, allowing them to swim with ease. Some ribbets possess a natural green and brown camouflage, while others are quite vibrantly colored in an array of bold patterns, no matter their appearance. All ribbets are born from eggs laid in the water, hatch into tadpoles, and after about 6 to 7 years mature to amphibians that can move around land. So let's check them out a bit. Oh my god, I love them. Look at this. Oh, look at this boy. He's here and he means business. Look at him, so fancy. I love it, especially because they're called ribbets, like nothing else, just ribbets. Oh yes, even more, please. Give me more. I want to see more. Look at them. Look. From fairly armored to heavily armored to just, you know, purely mystical. Yeah, ancestry features. Amphibious, you can breathe and move underwater just as easily as on land. Long tongue, you can use your long powerful tongue to grab onto things close to you. You may also mark a stress to unleash it as a finesse close weapon that does D12 physical damage. Gee, D12, like the dragons, to be fair, balance wise it makes sense why it's a D8 for the dragons, but it's because you hit multiple creatures. So imagine if you did a D12, that would be insane. But still, a D12 single attack or ancestry attack, damn. Very considering that you're utilizing a stress, kind of makes sense. But anyways, really interesting. Really like it. Love to see some of that kind of stuff. Simiah? I think it's Simiah. I'm gonna go with Simiah. Simiah resemble anthropomorphic monkeys and apes. So we return to monkey with long limbs and prehensile feet. This grants them an appearance that ranges from the largest gorilla to the smallest marmoset. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Marmoset, I'm not sure. And everything in between. Their size does not align directly with their animal counterparts, as they tend to range from 2 feet to 6 feet tall, though the degree varies. All members of this ancestry have prehensile feet and utilize this dexterity in non-verbal communication, movement, work, and combat. This also grants them unique ability that can aid them in a variety of physical tasks. So technically they can use their own feet for certain actions. Oh, look at him. Simiah tend to have an appearance of apes, orangutans, gorillas, and chimpanzees, as well as monkeys like baboons, mandrills, and tamarins. I think I'm saying that right. They are well known for their acrobatic prowess with climbing and moving through difficult terrain. Some Simiah walk fully upright, while others move comfortably with hand or knuckle walking. So yeah, kind of more like a baboon. I really like it. Hey, pirate monkey. Of course, we have to have something similar to a kind of a Wukong. Simiah will often have tails that can help them hold onto things. Many Simiah will make use of their feet for various tasks, as their toes are just as strong and dexterous as their fingers. Some Simiah are very tall and large, while others are very small. But they kind of to represent the wide array of kind of you know, ape and monkey races also into the kind of the ancestry feature. Nimble, take advantage on agility roll that involve balancing and climbing, and add the +1 to your evasion and character creation. Really nice. So harder to hit and really agile and kind of nimble creatures. Okay, so I see like this kind of covers all of the actual ancestries. So now we have like the final thing, which is something that I find like really cool. I mean, to be kind of expected. Mixed ancestries. Families within the world of Daggerheart are as unique as the peoples and cultures that inhabit it. You may meet characters with a close resemblance to their parents, or those who descend from a line of many different ancestries. The physical appearance and skill set of someone can be shaped by blood, by magic, by proximity, or by a variety of other characteristics. If you decide that your character is a descendant of multiple ancestries, you may use the mechanic below to select their ancestry and ancestry feature. When you choose a heritage at level 1, write down your how your character would identify themselves. For example, your ancestry could be Goblin Orc, or just Goblin with Orc in their lineage, or a name you choose, like Toofling. So basically, you can either just mention which are the mixed ancestries that you're going to use, or maybe depending on what kind of campaign and what kind of setting you're playing, you can maybe have something more akin to the setting actually, and have something more actually more flavor specific. So yeah, when you select the ancestry card of your character, you can choose from any of the ancestry features from your lineage to become part of your loadout. Although your family has shaped you in many ways, this skill is the most significant to you. So yeah, basically when you choose if you choose mixed ancestry, you have to utilize one of the cards. Basically you have the option of choice, but you can only have one. You cannot utilize both. Although I do wonder if you can, because it's in certain cases, as for example this one, you have like, you know, technically two effects, something a bit more passive and something a bit more active, and I wonder if you can also kind of have this kind of mix and match of, hey, could I have maybe the passive effect from this one and maybe just the active effect from there, or maybe in the cases where you actually have this, where he has a passive and something more action related in both sides. Like for example, let's say we go Ribbet and why not, let's say and Giant, why the hell not? Although this one's gonna be really weird. A Giant Ribbet, I don't even want to know how they met. Like, could you like split between those? Like maybe instead of reach you have the rock tongue, but you keep the endurance, or the other way around. You have the affinity to swim and breathe in water, but you keep the reach thing. So basically you are this like frog with long legs and limb and arms. I mean, depending on what exactly the effect is, I might go with that, as long as that's some like powerful effect like it was for the which one was it, the Katari. I mean, the little lucky one, yeah. To be fair, if you have this one, I'm not gonna give you anything else. You have to pick this one single-handedly. It wasn't Dangerous Sense. It wasn't the Giant. Not the Always Connected. But this one. There was one that I can't remember. Oh yeah, the Dwarf one. The Dwarf one, because to be fair, this one is kind of really powerful to completely have the damage, although at the cost of free hope. Like, to be fair, if you have this one, I ain't gonna sugarcoat it and give you some other stuff. But you know, I think like this could, with certain mixed races, can open to discussion. In certain aspects, I personally, as a game master, would be lenient with some mix and matching, but of course, for game balance reasons, I might put my foot down and say with certain features, nah, they're exclusive and they cannot be necessarily mixed. And also within certain reasons, like for example the turtle one, they have the ancestry feature is clearly kind of connected to their shell, so as long as so it'd be weird to have that basically also have the shell kind of ancestry but also not have the other, but also have some element of the other one. So yeah, but yeah, anyhow, this is the overall mixed ancestry. Not a lot, as I mentioned before. They just mostly cover a bit of like flavor and descriptive text. But I did appreciate the concept art. The concept art was like really cool and really like to kind of give you like an idea of what that ancestry could be and how it could be represented, and give you a lot of suggestions on how exactly you could, you know, add your own touches to them. Their abilities overall really cool. I never, as I looked through them, I never felt like one of them felt like underpowered like compared to the others. Yeah, some of them can, by comparison, be stronger than the others. Sure, if you really want to put it really game mechanically and really want to make it min-max it. But I haven't felt like there was one that I feel like, yeah, this is like you know, dog shit. You should never, if you really want something useful mechanically, why are you choosing this class? Of course, some of them are a bit flavory and a bit more on the open-ended interpretation to the game master, like for example the Fungrils having the hive mind connection and basically ascertaining information by connecting to the hive mind. It could feel situational, but consider that this system has a bit more open-endedness to certain aspects of the game mechanics and how you gain certain abilities and how you are skilled in certain facets. So I don't think it's that an issue. From the very get-go, this system kind of encourages to kind of improv and do things on the whim. So the DM, to a certain extent, the game master actually should be, to a certain extent, already comfortable with that. But yeah, next one we're gonna jump into the community, and then after that I'm gonna probably check because there is another like really quick short one, additional player tools, because community is similar to the Ancestry. It's just kind of it's probably gonna be a bit of flavor text and with one feature, because each community offers you like a community feature. It's more about like your culture and, you know, social environment that you've grown up then compared to the Ancestry, which is more about your kind of genetics and biology and kind of this kind of bloodline kind of identity. Yeah, but before I jump into here, I will take like a quick 5-minute break. I need to do like a quick like bathroom break and also probably refill on my drinks and snacks. So I'll be right back. I will also suggest for anybody who's stuck for as long as I did to do the same. Just have a stretch, you know, have a bit of a moment to take a breather, and then we'll come back and have a discussion with the next stuff. So yeah, be back in a minute. Let me open OBS. Here we go. Let's go BRB. Okay, there we go. Hope everybody had a decent stretch of that. Right, so let's continue. Oop, wrong tab. Here we go. So, community. 1 second, just have a drink. Okay, so community. Your community describes the culture or environment your character grew up in. Though it's likely they were a member of numerous communities during their upbringing, this choice represents the one they feel influenced their personality and current skill sets most. Like Ancestry, describing the characteristics of a collective is nuanced, as people always view others through the lens of their own experience. For example, while a Seaborne sailor might feel their own community is particularly strict, a character from an Orderborne metropolis might find that group very changeable. An individual's relationship with their community also creates a wide variety of experiences. If your character has fallen out of their place or people that define their upbringing, they may continue to carry that influence, but might be on a quest to live differently than what they were taught. As you explore the following communities, imagine the variety of ways they might manifest in your game. Some community cards reference locations, others an ethos, and still others a common goal. But no two places that fall under the same category are the same. If one Wanderborne caravan travels the world willingly and another was expelled from their home by force, both the material trappings and someone's feelings about their lifestyle would be different. When you build your character, you may be inspired by the details from communities different from the ones you've chosen to play. As always, this aspect of the game is meant to be utilized in the way that best serves your group's game. So yeah. So yeah, basically, as mentioned, cultures and societies are and environments and social environments are a big part in a big component in who you are as an individual, who you are as a person. So having this as kind of the second major component to your ancestry really means something, and kind of the additional layer of how you perceive the world because of your upbringing and maybe how other upbringings are perceived within each other. And of course, the variety, as mentioned here, like a Wanderborne can be out of choice or out of force, while similar to maybe other some higher societies and things like that. but they're all of these are supposedly are overall used for you to kind of give you an inspiration and give you kind of a push forward and what kind of representation these not kind of what kind of perspective your character should have. So yeah. Okay, each community has a community feature, a unique move or set of moves that are granted. Actually, I just realized something. It was too loud. I forgot about it. My brain just hyper focused on this and I ignored the sound, the background music. So sorry about that. Yeah, each community has a feature, a unique move or set of moves that are granted by their community and can be utilized in play. Some are spells or abilities that can be activated during a session, while others are passive bonuses or unique downtime. So similarly to the Ancestries, they are not necessarily a distinct, unique thing that, you know, applies within the same rules. You know, in some cases it could be a passive effect, some things can be an action, some things can be something more magical. Yeah, each community entry suggests several adjectives which you can use as inspiration when crafting a character. If you'd like to choose one or more of these, or roll a d6 to help develop your character's personality, relationships with their upbringings or peers, or even flavor with which they interact with the rest of the party. So actually really nice, because basically you also have something extra as kind of like a point of note that you can utilize, which is really nice. Not necessarily just you being there, not just having some kind of flavor description and all that. It can also be like, hey, this is how kind of characters within this community usually are. So maybe that's something you could utilize yourself. Highborne. Being part of a Highborne community means you were born into a life of elegance, opulence, and prestige within the upper echelons of society. Traditionally, members of a Highborne community possess incredible material wealth. While this takes a variety of forms, depending on the community: gold and other materials, other minerals, lands, controlling the means of production, etc. It may always come with the incredible power and influence. Highborne highly value titles and possessions, and there is little social mobility within their ranks. It's not uncommon for members of a Highborne community to control the political and economic status of the areas in which they live based on their ability to influence the individuals and the economy with their substantial wealth. The health and safety of the less affluent people who live in these locations often hinges on the abilities of this Highborne ruling class to prioritize the well-being of their subjects over profit. So yeah, this kind of already kind of plays into this flavor. How do you exactly want to flavor specific Highborne communities? One could be a community that utilizes majority of their vast wealth to better the life of their people and of their subjects, while others could lean towards the angle of kind of corporate kind of perspectives, and more about, you know, increasing and, you know, amassing the wealth than necessarily utilizing it for the benefit of others, especially the ones less fortunate. Highborns are individuals that are often amiable, candid, conniving, enterprising, ostentatious, and unflappable. Yes, apparently they are flightless birds. They cannot flap their wings. Sorry about that, that was a really bad joke. And as a feature, inheritance. You have advantage on any rolls you make when consorting with nobles, negotiating prices, or leveraging your reputation to get what you want. Take an extra handful of gold at character creation. Really cool. Sorry, I'd be like, excuse me, Daddy owns this shop, so can I get a discount? So anyhow, yeah, it's also, that was really bad. I don't want to repeat that. Yeah, but oh boy, me and voice acting. Anyhow, Loreborne. Being a part of a Loreborne community means you were brought up in a place that favored strong academic or political prowess. Loreborne communities highly value knowledge, frequently in the form of the preservation of history, advancement of politics, studies of science, honing of skills, or collecting of mythology. Because of this, many Loreborne communities are not closely tied to the landscape. Very often, this collective would with highly valued structures designed to protect physical books and records, and they will only engage with nature and the physical world in a particularly intellectual way. While some Loreborne societies are isolationist, others use their knowledge to make deft political maneuvers in a larger governmental landscape. Some Loreborne communities, such as those surrounding a college or attached to a guild, or are smaller enclaves within wider societies, and they may operate with a separate and unique ethos. Yeah, even here, like, Loreborne is not necessarily just societies that are about, you know, preserving history or, you know, studying or all that. As mentioned here, they could also be purely political organization, or in some ways, you know, society groups of people that, you know, want to push into kind of you know, advancement of, you know, how people you know, are ruled, how, you know, how ruling is handled, how laws are handled, and in some aspects also kind of I'm guessing philosophical, because in some aspects politics and philosophy can mingle. So yeah. Loreborne individuals are often direct, eloquent, inquisitive, patient, rhapsodic, and witty. Community features: well-read. You have advantages on any role that deal with the history, culture, or politics of a prominent person of place. So you are well-read, as said here. So you can just go ahead, be the book nerd that you always wanted to be. Really nice. Yeah, as you can see, obviously here you have some kind of course, in both cases, some kind of like skill negotiation, kind of social role with some that offers you some advantages, which makes sense overall to be in some aspects kind of socially or some kind of exploratory in certain aspects, because after all they're connected to culture, to groups, to societies, not necessarily to an individual. Orderborne. Being part of an Orderborne community means you were raised in a place of great discipline or faith and uphold a set of principles that reflect your experience there. Orderborne are frequently some of the most powerful amongst the surrounding communities by aligning the members of their societies around a common value or goal, such as a god, doctrine, ethos, or even shared business or trade. The ruling bodies of these enclaves are able to mobilize larger populations with less effort. While Orderborne communities may take a variety of forms, some even profoundly pacifistic, perhaps the most feared and those that structure themselves around military prowess. In this case, it's not uncommon for Orderborne to provide soldiers for hire for other cities and countries. So yeah, again, from the get-go, they kind of give you like this kind of multiple faceted possibility that what Orderborne is, because as mentioned here, it could just be some community organization that force that kind of has an ethos or kind of a perspective when it comes to law, but they also could be some kind of faith organization of faith around a certain divinity, because hierarchy and laws are within both, and there is also all of these kind of groupings have some form of structure and rules and as mentioned here, like orders. Orderborne are often ambitious, benevolent, pensive, sardonic, and stoic. What's sardonic? Actually, I'm kind of curious. Let me check. Learn new word every day. Sardonic. Leave me the fuck alone. Grimly mocking or cynical. Makes sense. Sardonic. Yeah, makes sense. Community feature. Dedicated. Record. Oh no, record, not record. This is not like a musician. Record free sayings or values your upbringing instilled in you. Once per short rest, you describe how you're embodying one of these principles through your current actions. You may roll with a d20 as your hope die instead of a d12. Ooh. Interesting. So you're increasing your odds. Okay, and even better that it's your hope die. So basically, even increasing your chances of rolling with hope. Aside from just instantly increasing your value number, and I like that. I like that a lot of the features that somehow alter or modify in some ways how the roles are done. They never go against advantage, or in some way be like, oh yeah, yes, you have some kind of advantage, aside from like special, specialized moment, like, in certain special situations. But when it comes to more like generic stuff, like here, or like more up to interpretation, or customized, here you get like role benefit, but you can still benefit as well from advantage, so you can even enhance it even further. Yeah, that's really cool that they have a lot of this kind of thought out. Ridgeborne. Being part of a Ridgeborne community means you can call the rocky peaks, the sharp cliffs of the mountainside home. Those who've grown up in the mountains often consider themselves hardier than most likely, because they've lived among the most dangerous terrain many continents have to offer. Those who are Ridgeborne grow up scrambling and climbing, making them particularly sure-footed and sure of will. Ridgeborne communities appear in a variety of forms. Some cities carved out cliffs, others construct castles of stone, and still more live in small homes on wind-blown peaks. And the mountain folk, so in certain aspects you probably can see the like certain dwarven ancestries, and maybe of some of the other like giants and other kind of some of the hardier races be part of these kinds of communities in a majority. As again, whenever we're talking about these kind of things, there's always the aspect of majority, and honestly your character and certain aspects of a community can have uniqueness and can go against the norm. That should never be something that you should not try. Just because it's not mentioned as being majority, that doesn't mean that you as a player should not be the one that goes against the norm, that kind of is the black sheep in some ways. But again, black sheep is kind of has like a back connotation. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad connotation when it comes to be kind of moving against the grain. Yeah. Ridgeborne individuals are often bold, curt, hardy, indomitable, loyal, reserved, and stubborn. Yeah, more about like set in their ways in certain aspects. Community feature. Steady. You have advantage on traversing dangerous cliffs and ledges, navigating harsh environments, and survival knowledge. You also gain a +1 to your armor score, so you're hardy overall. Damn, this kind of really plays well with stuff like the Dwarf or some other ones that had some kind of increase to the armor score, like the turtle people, like I forgot the Galapa, because they have like a bonus armor point or something like that. So yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, with certain aspects, there are some like really interesting combos that kind of synergize with each other. So that's also something really cool that you can have if you like that kind of to play into that, which is never a wrong thing. Especially because from what I've seen from this system, at the very least, if you go raise community, there's not like a lot of min-maxing here. I can't really see it. Of course, the better you synergize some stuff, the better you'll be at that kind of thing. So, of course, if you really play into it, yeah, technically you could become really powerful on that kind of thing. But then again, it's up to you. If that's your fun, and as long as it doesn't break the rest of the group's fun, then go ahead, you should do it. Seaborne. Being part of a Seaborne community means you grew up on or near a large body of water. Seaborne communities are built both physically and culturally around the specific waters they call home. Some of these groups live along the shores, constructing ports for locals and travelers alike. These harbors may function as both centers of commerce, tourist attractions, or even just a safe place to lay down one's head after weeks of travel. Other Seaborne live on the water in small boats or large ships, with the idea of home meaning a ship and its crew rather than any other landmass. No matter their exact location, Seaborne communities are closely tied to the ocean tides and the creatures that inhabit them. Seaborne learn to fish at a young age and will train from birth to be able to hold their breath and swim in even the most tumultuous of waters. Individuals from these groups are highly sought after for sailing abilities, and many will become captains of vessels with their own community, working for another, or even at the helm of a powerful naval operation. Yeah, kind of expected kind of the pirate, merchant, kind of sea merchants kind of groups, and all other, like, of course, military in some aspects. You can also kind of with that, which can offer interesting variants, because again, some of them can have a lot of, because there was even mentioned in some of the ones, some of the other communities, that technically they could be part of larger communities. So yeah, you can have like a Seaborne community part of an Orderborne, or the other way around. Maybe a Seaborne community has some kind of Orderborne kind of sections of it. Also, something I would see like really cool with this one would be like having this kind of naval communities where basically, yes, the idea of home is the ship, but you have this kind of network of ships that are interconnected, and that kind of within a large body of water create their own community within that mass of water, within that body. Seaborne are often candid, cooperative, exuberant, fierce, resolute, and weathered. Community feature: safe harbor. Once per session, when you take a short or long rest, you may take an additional downtime action. That's actually really neat, and I like it. That's kind of a once per session kind of thing, and so you know that's not heavily powerful. That's just an additional benefit that you can choose whenever you want to use it. And at the same time, kind of encourages to be like, hey, overall, you have this once per session. It's not like they stack, so go ahead, use it as you use it when you feel like it. So yeah. Slyborne. Being part of a Slyborne community means growing up in the underbelly of society, surrounded by criminals and con artists. Members of Slyborne communities are brought together by the position in society they operate outside the law. Commonly, these communities are comprised of those with an array of skills: forging, thievery, smuggling, and violence. Among the Slyborns, there are a variety of social classes, including those who have garnered vast wealth and influence, and others without a coin to their name. To the outside eye, the Slyborne may seem like ruffian with no loyalty, but these communities possess some of the strictest codes of honor, which when broken may result in the terrifying end for the perpetrator. So yeah, no honor among thieves. That's quite that's quite the opposite statement, considering some of these societies, you know. You want to run a tight ship around here, you have to make sure that everyone under you is a well-oiled, works like a well-oiled machine. Yeah, and also kind of again mentions it very clearly that, you know, Slyborne could be part like of a larger community in some aspects, you know. And of course, they are more overall focused with the kind of criminal underworld. They could also be in some aspects seen as the lower class, depending, because especially in lower class kind of sections of a city or like a society, community, though these kinds of organizations arise because there is not a lot of eyes on those locations. Slyborne individuals are often clever, formidable, menacing, unflinching, shrewd, and tenacious. Community feature: scoundrel. You have advantages of any roles when you are negotiating with criminal, detecting lies, or finding a safe place to hide. Yeah, you know how to, talk the talk with with fellow people of your craft. You can, you've seen some people, with silver tongues before, so why not? And sometimes you have an affinity of hiding, because hiding from the law might have been as part of your kind of livelihood. So yeah. Underborne. Being part of an Underborne community means that you're from a subterranean society. Many Underborne live right beneath the cities and villages of other groups, and others live much deeper, and these communities range from small family groups in burrows to massive metropolis in caverns of stone. Among many groups, Underborne are recognized for their incredible boldness and skill, acknowledging this community as highly capable of feats of architecture and engineering. Members of these communities are regularly hired for their bravery, as even the least daring Underborne citizen is likely to encounter a number of dangerous beasts in their daily lives. And learning to dispatch such creatures is common practice among these societies. Because of the dangers of their environment, many Underborne communities develop non-verbal languages that may prove equally useful on the surface. Yeah, Underdark kind of communities, all of that, and it's where we have see some of the creatures there. Goblins, the Fungril. I guess even the Draconic race. You could maybe flavor it to be kind of a kobold type race. Some of them could be like a kobold variant because they're also kind of draconic in detail, so they could also be part of it. So yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I also like it because overall when you read all of these, you can, even with certain communities that feel very specific to certain ancestries, the system kind of offers you those ancestries already. Underborn individuals are often composed, elusive, indomitable, innovative, unpretentious, and I think it should have been, oh no, it's innovative. Yeah, it's innovative, not innovative. That's a misspelling. I was like, what's innovative? You know, because you know they innovate. Unpretentious and resourceful. Community feature: low light living. When you are in an area of low light or heavy shadow, you'll have advantage on rolls to hide, investigate, or perceive detail within the area. So no more. I have I have dark vision. No, that's a community thing. It has nothing to do with your ancestry. So leave me the hell alone. Are you an Underborn? No, then shut the hell up. Oh yeah. And oh, there are a few more. I have two more. I thought Wanderborne was gonna be the last. Oh well. Wanderborne. Being a part of a Wanderborne community means that you were raised as a nomad, not having a permanent home, but experiencing a wide variety of cultures. And unlike many communities, they are defined by their local Wanderborne. Locale Wanderborne are defined by their peripatetic lifestyle. Because of their frequent migration, Wanderborne are likely to put less value on the accumulation of material possessions in favor of acquiring information, skills, and connections. While some Orderborne are allied by a common ethos, such as religion or set of political or economic values, others come together after a shared tragedy, such as the loss of their home or lands. No matter the reason, the dangers posed by life on the road mean that Wanderborne are known for their unwavering loyalty. So yeah, the kind of traveling groups, the traveling communities, you know, nomadic people, and you know, a good example, like, you know, if you're putting like real life perspective, like the Romani and all that kind of thing. But yeah, Wanderborne are often magnanimous, mirthful, inscrutable, reliable, savvy, and unorthodox. Community feature: nomadic pack. Add a nomadic pack to your inventory. Once per session, you may spend a hope to reach into this pack and pull out a common item that is useful in this situation. Work with the GM to figure out what this item is. Oh, you have a utility bag. Amazing. That's actually really neat, especially because it's obviously like a common item. I don't know, I just have a spoon. For what? I don't know. Somehow it's useful, but it's there. It's a spoon. Or whatever else could be, like a pack of trinkets. I love it. And also into that, this tool is gonna help us later. kind of logic. Yeah, and the last one, like Wildborne. Being part of a Wildborne community means you were raised by a clan deep within the forest, while some construct their lodging high in the branches of trees themselves. Still others establish their homes on the ground beneath the canopies. Wildborne are defined by their dedication to the conservation of their homelands, and many such communities have strong religious and cultural ties to the plant and thrive among them. It is a hallmark of Wildborne groups to disturb the natural environment as little as possible when constructing their villages or cities. It's not uncommon for them to remain fairly reclusive and hidden within their woodland homes. So yeah, quite the kind of druidic folk and people, you know, more kind of attuned to nature and more about, you know, nature preserving. Of course, druidic folk, certain elven societies and all that kind of thing that are all about, you know, being one with nature and making sure that nature continues to thrive. Wildborne individuals are often hardy, loyal, nurturing, reclusive, sages, and vibrant. And as a community feature, Lightfoot. Your movement is naturally silent. Take advantage on any action rolls you make to move without being heard. Spend the hope to also grant this ability to an ally in a very close range of you. realize that you can also have it kind of as a support ability, and it's not just a benefit that you gain, which I've seen with a few of them, which is really neat. Like, certain things, certain features aren't necessarily just about you as a character, can also be like a group thing. And I just realized this is Pass Without a Trace. It's literally that. It's Pass Without a Trace as an ability. That's actually really cool. But anyhow, yeah, these are overall the communities at the very least introduced so far, which together with Ancestry kind of offer you the your full-on kind of character as a kind of as representation when it comes to physicals, perspectives, lifestyles, and anything that is not necessarily connected to their craft or skill sets. Although with certain aspects, skill sets also play within the community depending on the community. And yeah, I really like kind of how they approach this system of kind of heritage being this kind of two-parter of ancestries and communities, and together they form a singular unified thing. And because it offers a level of customization. They are well built and I feel like overall they're robust in both cases. They don't feel like they're just there purely for flavor. Because for example, community in certain aspects I compare it to an extent to the backgrounds in D&D, where they're overall their feature is more than anything is purely flavor, or with some or highly situational, which kind of undermines the whole idea. Look, I'm this kind of, like for example, Seaborne. I'm this individual. I had this lifestyle where I was all about living at sea and being on ships, on harbors, and all of that. So overall, I should have some benefits in all aspects of that kind of lifestyle and that kind of community, not just specifically I can navigate ships and that's it. Yeah, I really like this overall. I think like it's really well approached. And yeah, and kind of this kind of covers overall, but there's another thing that I've noticed that you can have, which is interesting, and it's kind of again pretty short, and I thought it was really cool because I had like a quick glance at it. The additional player tools, which is kind of an extra thing that you can have, which I thought that I could be quickly cover it while we continue with some other aspects. So yeah, additional player tools, adjusting abilities and spells. There are spells and abilities in Daggerheart that designate the use of particular assets and senses, including sight, sound, touch, and movement. Like players, characters may be blind, deaf, mute, or they may have disabilities or limb differences or any other unique qualities that occur within an individual. Just as there is no set style for weapons in combat, there is no set style of casting within Daggerheart. No spell requires spoken language or specific motions. For example, sign language is equally viable for wordsmith bard as any spoken language. So basically, yes, this is kind of like an extra layer that you can add to your character, which is more than anything in some aspects kind of as kind of suggestions and points of inspirations of kind of how to customize and further kind of detail your characters depending on if they have certain impairments or certain differences in their physical traits. And I thought it was really cool to kind of also cover this because heritage and communities kind of after the heritage, this kind of is a really nice segue, and it's a really short one from what I've seen. It doesn't tell you much. As I said, it's more suggestion, and I'm guessing after a while they'll probably gonna add more to it because there are some. Once we get towards the end of it, you're gonna see that there are some mentions of some possible extra things that are gonna add into this section. But yeah, if you read a domain ability or a spell or other instructions in the game and notice that the direction on a card do not apply to your character, for example, the requirement, the target you can see, cast by a blind PC, work with your GM to adjust the requirements of the spell. To execute the direction the card might utilize other sense, a target you can hear, specify a mechanical range within close range, add a narrative character to the details. The PC is helped in perceiving a target through magical means or use of an aid. Define world building. The mortal ram is constructed in a way that is more accessible for disabled characters. So I really like this because you can either approach it more flavorly, like maybe the character has some kind of means that allows them to an extent that sense of seeing, but through some other ways, not necessarily actually seeing, but somehow that perception, that perception of seeing is somehow offered otherwise. Or you can also just utilize something more mechanically. So yeah, a target, we can have like a mechanical change, you know, within close, as mentioned here, specific a mechanical range, you know, within close range, which yeah, depending, you know, on the abilities and things like that, might be a hindrance, might not be a hindrance, but depending on, because this also, especially because this can be a discussion with the player and because it's a discussion between both the player and the GM. If, even though maybe to some people this could be seen as me as the character kind of being underpowered, if the player wants that and wants to emphasize that and has no problem with that, and the GM as well is okay with it, then yeah, go ahead, take this kind of a flaw or a small handicap, let's call it, because I'm pretty sure in most cases it's just gonna be like a small handicap to kind of emphasize that, hey, look, I'm this character that is disabled, but even so, I can still perform, I can still act in the same to the same parameters and to the same performance as the rest of my party. And me being disabled does not stop me from doing that, which I really like. That's something that should be emphasized more in certain systems. Yeah. Modifying spells, abilities, or other aspects of Daggerheart also extend to supporting the enjoyment of everyone at the table. We invite you to adjust the flavor of cards based on the lines and veils established by the group. For example, Conjure Swarm may be uncomfortable for a person who has veiled small bucks, but they might still want to utilize the spell in their druid character build. Discuss other creatures or objects the PC can conjure, such as flower petals, small birds, or even a specific bug like butterfly. That means that feels comfortable for them. All players, including the GM, should abide by the customization made to accommodate one another. So yeah, that's also a really cool idea. Hey, after all, we're all here to have fun and we're here to enjoy the game, and we shouldn't stress each other out. So let's make it so that, you know, we can all have some enjoyment out of it. So yeah, and there is this image that has like a lot of interesting suggestions. It's not the only one. I've seen a few more. Well, let's go with this one first. So yeah. Vision impairment or blindness. There are many options for assisting vision impaired and blind individuals, ranging from intensive training to heighten other senses, to magic that allows sight through other creatures, enchanted objects that extend our sense or give information to the user. You know, seeing an animal, companion, and familiar. Vision assistance from animals are very common. They are either trained to alert and communicate their owner, or magically link to the individual to share their vision. Yes, Shakasta is kind of speaking of, and not really him, but close to that aspect. A Ribbet druid seeing through the eyes of a giant snake companion. A priest gifted with the ability from their goddess to see through the eyes of a raven they can touch. Seeing orbs. Enchanted objects that can float a short distance from the user, also give them information of what's around the orbs. While it doesn't grant the user actual vision, it still gives the user descriptive information as if it was seen. Sensing cane, enchanted walking cane that when tapped on the ground, it gives the user a brief sense of anything in their intermediate vicinity. A repetitive light tapping creates an equivalency to short range sight. Oh, I really like. Oh yeah, I really like this kind of like fencer that does this kind of thing. That's actually really cool. Vision mask. While someone is wearing this mask, they can see as if they have natural vision. This mask can be made to look in any way. Really cool. Oh yes, hell yeah. Well, wheelchairs. That's actually some of the stuff that I've seen that's really cool. I've seen some art in some people that really fan art this kind of stuff in some amazing ways. Wheelchairs are very common for mobility assistance, and they can be customized for the individual. And the most of them are made for speed and carrying gear, but some specialize for specific combat scenarios and hazards. Like this, I really love this like fucking jousting wheelchair knight. That's really cool. Walking chairs, weirdly creepy but amazing at the same time. Enchanted high mobility chair that walk like a living individual creature. Individuals who have difficulty walking may use these instead of wheeled mobility chairs. Because yes. So basically, what, stairs? No problem. My chair has feet as well, so it can walk. The appearance of these chairs can vary greatly and often have legs that resemble various animals or look like normal chairs. The specific design is usually made to best suit certain needs and situations, such as carrying heavy objects or moving quickly, or even just for impressive decorative display. Yeah, as you can see here, yeah, very kind of woodcrafty. This one is really kind of creepy, but it's creepy, but at the same time I really like it. Yeah. Also playing disabled characters. This is kind of what I meant. Combat wheelchair coming soon. I want to see that. I honestly do. Sturdy metal leg can handle more excessive use, difficult to break, strong and reliable. Decorative leg, not for excessive physical activity, made for casual settings, lighter and usually more comfortable. Because ribbets tend to find hopping more comfortable than walking, leg prosthetics are made to be springy and comfortable for jumping in daily life. Yeah, I really like this, and I also really like the flavor that you can also have one for function and one for aesthetic. So why not, why not play into both? Why not have, multiple? Why not? You shouldn't necessarily force yourself to just have the one. And then, playing blind, deaf, or mute characters. Special flowers that can grow in ears that pick up vibrations and allow a deaf individual to hear sounds by sensing the way the flower reacts to the noise. So yeah, again, section in progress. But again, also, as I mentioned, really cool extra stuff that is like really nice to see here, like as like additional flavor stuff. So yeah, amazing stuff. I really like it because again, just because if you want to have like some type of impaired character, either because you're impaired yourself and want to kind of in some way extend yourself into the character, or just simply want to explore that facet yourself, even if you're an able individual, that shouldn't stop you from enjoying the game and utilizing it in the same manner as the rest of them. Or if you really also appreciate those aspects of slight variety with maybe some different changes how you approach your environment, to kind of emphasize and kind of play into that idea that, look, yes, I'm an impaired individual, so for me the way I act in the world might be different to you, but at the same time that doesn't make me inadequate. That doesn't necessarily make me lesser than you or not as capable as you. I can still perform as well, maybe even not better than you in certain situations. Yeah, that's really, I really enjoyed this. This is really cool. I mean, yeah, overall this kind of covers kind of the heritage and that kind of more physicality and societal aspect. Probably next time I'm gonna overall take a look at the classes. Currently I was also planning to check equipment in case I didn't cover for enough time, but let's see, it's almost close to for how long I've been. I think I've been already for like 4-ish hours, which is kind of within the time frame that I yeah, it's kind of within the time frame that I had in mind, because this one is also kind of longish and it might extend a few extra hours, and I'm not sure if I want to go there yet. There'll be another thing that maybe I can check out. Let me just actually, just so I don't spoil anybody, let me just open it, just because, as I mentioned beforehand, I do this kind of as a as the first time look and kind of discuss them on the spot, and sometimes, you know, have some more in-depth discussion and this kind of thing. So yeah, I don't necessarily, because even with this, as I mentioned, yeah, I've taken a vague look at them, but I haven't read them in details. I've read them now, so yeah, that's kind of the thing. Let's see. I think there's some elements, yeah, these are like some DM, some Game Master elements that probably are gonna be covered a lot later. There's equipment was one of them, but I feel like that's a bit lengthy and maybe shouldn't be covered right now. Locations. Let's see. Ah, okay, I see. Probably, not sure if it's something that I'm gonna cover as well, because it's a bit more world building. I like kind of what it talks about in here, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it overall. The classes are one thing that remained. Let's see, running a campaign. Probably I'm not gonna talk about this one, who knows. I'm thinking about it, maybe I'll do maybe the campaign as myself, who knows. I'll see about it, maybe I'll talk with some peeps, think about it. Let's see, full example of play, what is this? It's kind of longish, and maybe I'll keep it as an end thing. Yeah, I like this, but I'm gonna keep it as a kind of an end thing once we cover the rest of the stuff. Pretty sure leveling up is also kind of lengthy. Yeah, there's a bit about it, and I feel like, yeah, I should probably cover classes first before getting into leveling up, because it also affects the classes. Customizing your game, did I? Oh, interesting. Although not yet present, but I'm gonna show it here. As you can see, there's like a large portion of TTRPG plays include acts of customization based on the needs and desires of your table. Personalization doesn't stop after the act of character creation. Below you'll see the beginnings of some of the recommendations of ways to modify Daggerheart based on your needs and desire. You'll notice this portions of this section is currently unavailable. As your team continues to refine mechanics, we'll update and expand on it later. So yeah, custom equipment, adversary card templates, custom domain cards, balance, homebrew guide. So yeah, I really like it that from the get-go they have it in mind to create your custom things, and more important than anything, also homebrew yourself. Because to be fair, as I mentioned, let me just have it here just so I can show it. Where was it? Class. It says. I don't think it's gonna give me a list. No. Let me just pull up the video actually, because it's a lot simpler, and it's something that I'm gonna kind of look into it, and who knows, maybe I'll do it like a thing to, you know, that I'm gonna work on it as the game updates and improves, but I'm not gonna, you know, fully release it until like the game is actually in full release, because, you know, some changes might actually heavily impact how I'm gonna do it. But as I mentioned, as you can see, overall this class is cover most of the fantasy stuff that you'd expect. But as I mentioned, like previously, as I watched the initial video, the one class that I feel like it's not here and it could be here. And actually, considering that this is a game system with a core pillar about telling stories and having, you know, a lot of moments where you can have like role play moments and moments of character interaction, is the Warlock, because the Warlock is one of the few classes with a interestingly like built in like a kind of social and interaction aspect for the player character. So seeing it not here is a bit underwhelming. I'm really curious if overall the classes have stuff like this built in to it, like probably this. I'm like, for example, the Seraph. I'm really curious if they have that kind of divine connection aspect that usually the Paladin would have, like the oaths. Those are like some interesting, like offer like interesting like role-playing moments. But yeah, going back to the Warlock, I don't find it here. And the thing is, because I thought about it, because I'm really curious what the homebrew guide would suggest when it comes to creating classes. Because as they mentioned right up until now, the whole idea with the domain class is that each of them share one domain. Their classes, the domains are each shared by one class. And with the whole idea that if you were to like draw a circle, if you were to like put them in a line, they would kind of interconnect and go kind of full circle. And I kind of thought about it, where exactly would the Warlock be placed in this kind of entire scheme? And I have an idea how exactly I would make a Warlock class, which would not necessarily be fully a class, but at the same time it could be. There are two methods that I could see it. One of them where it's not necessarily a fully a class, it could be some kind of interesting additional kind of unique option for multiclassing, where your patron somehow is part. Now you make a pact and your patron basically gives you some like Warlock abilities, but at the cost of like a multi-class slot. So instead of enhancing your specializations or multiclassing into something into a different class, you have to take the pact, or actually a full class where the pact is determined by the domain, basically meaning that the class itself has one domain. I can choose one of the existing how many there are, like 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, actually 9. Yeah, I think they're 9, right? Did I say it right? Yeah, I think they're 9. Okay. Yeah, 9. So yeah, technically the pact would be represented by one of the 9 domains, and the other, and then they would have probably a domain unique to themselves. So that's kind of where what's kind of in my mind with that class, and I would find it really interesting if there are others who thought of it the same way. And I would like to, once I kind of get a better grasp of the system, and also look after I'm looking at the classes, to maybe slowly kind of homebrew that concept and just have it there kind of in the works as the system updates and improves, because there might be some changes in how the class system works and how, you know, kind of leveling up and, you know, multiclassing, all of that. There could be, even to this point, there could still be some major shifts in how certain systems work. So I'm not gonna push on fully and be like, yo, this is kind of my idea right now and you all should use it. But yeah, that's something that I have in mind. Although I do have something else in mind that's also Warlock related, but for a different system that I would like to homebrew and might put on publicly at some point. I haven't started like working on it, but I have it in my mind, and I will probably do it at some point, because I have it already, but in the form that it currently is, it's not necessarily what I want it to be. I've kind of changed. I shifted a bit in how exactly I wanted it to be represented. So yeah, I'll take a look over that at some point. But anyhow, yeah, as I mentioned, nothing else to cover. Overall, it kind of went within the minimal time frame that I mentioned. I was kind of expecting, to be honest, this one to be kind of a shorter stream compared to the other ones, which is fine. I don't necessarily mind. It's totally okay to me. But yeah, probably from next time, and also at the same time, also probably better for me because I can kind of get a bit used to this kind of schedule. Because from now on, what I'm planning for the TTRPG like talk is 1 week I'm gonna have it, you know, more EU time zone friendly, kind of more in the afternoon towards night, towards evening, kind of more in the evening for like the EU, and then another week where I'm gonna have it more US friendly, kind of more in the US evening time zone ish, as I'm doing it right now. So I'm gonna switch between them. So you know, today has been more US friendly. Next time, which is gonna be on a Thursday, it's gonna be, you know, EU friendly, and so on. Because to me also it's better because, you know, being on a Friday, I can do it US friendly because, you know, I have next, because I'm jumping into the weekend, so I can, you know, I can bite the bullet and just stay up for longer and do all of this. And I'll have to figure out how exactly I'm gonna split the classes, because there are 9 classes. Maybe I'll do 2 of them per. I'm probably gonna push maybe 2. Actually, I'm gonna push 3. Yeah, I'm gonna push 3 per stream, just because I don't want to stay for too long on the system. And as I've probably also mentioned on socials, next week they're gonna bring out a new version. So depending on what changes they do, I might cover that first if it is something about things that I've discussed previously, but it has nothing to do with some of the stuff that I've already looked at. So yeah, I have to figure that out. So we'll have to see. But anyhow, I think I like to, like, at least look at something to as kind of like a breather moment here, and maybe if anybody wants to jump in and have like a discussion, we can also do that. Let me see, because we already looked at this character. I'm not gonna go back and have a watch at the character creation, because that one's a bit more lengthier, and if I also have breaks and talks about it, that I'm gonna basically add another hour to that video with that video, and I don't necessarily want to push it that much unless there's some conversation that you all want to have. As I said, at this point on, we can have like some kind of discussion about what do you think so far of what we've seen from the system. If you have any other like TTRPG, you know, questions in general, maybe I can offer my advice or my perspective on it, because I've been a game master myself for a while. I've also been a player in some aspects and can also offer it in that way, because even as a player, I like to customize, I like to offer my assistance, I like to, you know, help the game master whenever I can, especially when I'm really comfortable with the system, because then I know kind of how to handle it. So yeah, that's also kind of a thing. And yeah, actually have no idea, because another thing that I'm gonna do probably after finishing this and going through the equipment and all of that and finishing, because there is a section here like running an adventure, which I'm gonna probably, because I looked a bit, I kind of skimmed a bit through it. It has an interesting section at the end about like DM questions and stuff like that, and how would you approach certain situation. I like to have that kind of like an interesting like open discussion that we can cover. And then after that, I would like to, although I'm probably not gonna jump. Actually, no, I'm gonna do it probably after classes and equipment. Yeah, probably after finishing classes and equipment, I'm also gonna probably do like a side thing and jump in and make like a character of my own. Just, you know, for the funsies, and, you know, go through the character creation built-in demi-plane for it. So why not? But anyhow, apart from that, yeah. There's nothing else around here that, because I'm pretty sure they don't have like any new mentions. Let me just pop it here just in case. They don't have the usual Candle Obscura streams. I mean, they have their session 0, but it's 2 hours long, and I'm not gonna do that. Nah. Don't know. Yeah, there's nothing don't have like an additional info about it, so that's fine. But yeah, I mean, if there is nothing else to discuss or cover, let me just take a look and see, get myself like an idea. Actually, also let me put myself on the appropriate just chatting side of thing. Yeah, as an overall, it's been fun. I really enjoy how the system is shaping up. I am thinking about it because also I'm gonna participate in some stuff TRPG related soon-ish as well. But who knows? Maybe after doing that, I'm gonna regain a bit of confidence with my because it's been a while since I game mastered myself. I've done it for a long time, but you know, life happens. Hard to schedule. Most of my player groups have been people that, you know, mostly prefer to you know, in-person play. So, and currently I'm in a position where I don't necessarily can easily reach out or be, you know, in person with those individuals and have those systems. And in some cases, you know, life is life, people are busy, stuff like that. But who knows, with some of the peeps that I've met here and done stuff and will do stuff, maybe I can think something out. Who knows, maybe the special TTRPG stream could be that. I'll think about it. Currently I'm still keeping with my current idea with the special TTRPG, but anyhow. Anybody from front rows that I've rated before? I think I've done so. There's no need to jump there. Let's see. Actually, first let me check the why not? Let me check the category itself. Maybe there are some peeps in here that do something about it, aside from me, of course. I don't necessarily want to jump into like a session. I'm not sure exactly how the etiquette is there when it comes to, you know, rating somebody's like game session. So yeah, I don't necessarily want to do that and jump there. What about Dungeons and Dragons? Oh, I just seen some peeps that I've seen online, and yeah, not that. Oh, wait. How time flies by, actually. Huh, let me check. One second. Come on, I just saw you on the notifications. What are you doing? Come on. Was it this one? Oh, fucking perfect. Why not? It's a Baldur's Gate stream, so yeah. We're gonna go ahead and raid Haichu, because why not? They are currently going through doing like a Baldur's Gate stream. They're just about to start, so why not? I'm just gonna drop you off there, have fun with her, and all of that, and you know, probably gonna just hang around for a bit as well, just to
I feel like that's way more like
hear her out and all that kind of stuff. Also, she's a lot more
clown drunk.
Oh, I laugh so hard.
out there than I am, so anyhow. But still, let's do this. 1 second.
No, you can
channel.
see the definition in his
Also, for anybody new, when we raid, we use this generic message unless I stated otherwise. Currently I have no, I'm not necessarily like too inspired in what kind of message to do, so we're gonna use this one. But anyhow, again, thank you all for being here, having a chat, lurking, all of that kind of thing. It's good to me. I appreciate it either way, no matter. No, don't you worry about it. As I mentioned before, I really enjoy how this kind of system shapes up and all of these kind of things are going. So then but again, On Sunday, I'm gonna start my new indie showcase with Deliver Us from Mars, so be sure to kind of keep an eye out. That one is gonna be hopefully friendly-ish enough time-wise for both US and EU, so all of you peeps can do that. But anyhow, I appreciate it again, and then from next week onward, I'm gonna send in a schedule and for you to kind of figure out. But then again, appreciate you being around here. I'll see you on the flip side. See you later, guys. Bye.